Mel's Diner.
Central Perk.
The answer? Central Perk.
Either way, you can always try again tomorrow. Take the quiz every day at thequiz.fox, then come back here to see how you did.
And thank you for taking the quiz.
Memorial Day weekend is now behind us. Across America, there were parades and ceremonies, people paying tribute yesterday to those who gave the ultimate sacrifice serving our country. President Trump led the commemoration at Arlington National Cemetery, laying a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier.
They gave everything, and we owe them everything and much, much more.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, reflected on those killed while serving all of us.
It is our responsibility to carry that weight and to live in a way worthy of their sacrifice and to never forget what they did for us.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth adding,
"We owe a duty to those who have fallen in war. They have paid a debt we can never repay, and for that, we owe gratitude and remembrance."
More than 1 million American service members have been killed while serving the country throughout America's history. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stocks could surge after a holiday weekend and after losses last week. Dow futures are up more than 500 points after President Trump delayed new tariffs on European imports. Later today, we'll get economic reports, an update on the housing market, and the latest read on consumer confidence, which hit a nearly 5-year low last month. In the NBA playoffs,
The Thunder are just one win away from a spot in the NBA Finals. Oklahoma City defeated Minnesota 128-126 in Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals, taking a commanding 3-1 lead in the series. The Thunder were led by MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who had a playoff career-high 40 points.
That's Fox's Joe Morgan. In hockey, the Carolina Hurricanes stayed alive with a shutout to avoid a sweep, beating Florida 3-0. But the defending Stanley Cup champion Panthers still lead the NHL Eastern Conference final 3-1. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Whew, that shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Hey, John. Need any help over there?
Oh, hey, Chris. Oh, I'm good. Just digging some new flower beds and planting a couple shrubs.
You sure you should be doing that? You know, with your high blood pressure and all?
That's all good. I got my blood pressure under control now.
Really? New medication?
No, a superfood juice that is absolutely delicious.
A juice?
Yeah, it's 120 Life. It has 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Wow, in a juice?
Yep. So controlling my blood pressure tastes great and I feel great.
I wonder if 120 Life could fix my procrastination getting yard work done.
Not sure about that, but it sure helped me.
Certainly has. You and your yard look great.
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you'll destroy your life. Listen to The Flatline with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7. The Flatline describes a main line of resistance in your soul built on God's Word. Listen this Sunday for inspiration, motivation, education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes this Sunday morning at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's important to have a heating and cooling company you know you can depend on. That company is the original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling. They aren't one of those massive companies with newer techs and subcontractors. Oh no, Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling send only their own highly skilled techs. From service to installation and everything in between, the work quality and customer service is the best. For 40 years, the original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling has kept homeowners and business customers comfy and warm in the winter and nice and cool in the warmer months. Don't call the big guys, call the best. Call Carrie at 847-545-1700 or visit arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.net. That's Carrie at 847-545-1700 or online at arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.net. The original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling, not the biggest, just the best.
Mike Gallagher explains the battle on Capitol Hill.
The rift is between spending hawks who want to cut more from the deficit and moderates who want expanded tax deductions for Americans. Some of the Republicans are saying it's not enough. Some of the Republicans are saying it's too much. If we don't get it, we're handing a giant victory to the Democrats.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Charlie Kirk at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's May 27th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Grape Popsicle Day. The popsicle has long been a tasty treat that's nearly synonymous with the arrival of warmer weather. The history of the popsicle dates back to 1905 in San Francisco, California, as a young Frank Epperson discovered he made the dessert completely by accident. Nearly 20 years later, he patented the frozen sweet as the Epsicle, later changing the name to the Popsicle. Also on this date, in 1958, Ernest Green becomes the first African-American student to graduate from Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. Just a year earlier, Green was part of the Little Rock Nine, who had to be escorted into the segregated school by federal troops as members of the Arkansas National Guard blocked their entry into the building. If it's your birthday today, you share it with former Secretary of State and Nobel Peace Prize winner Dr. Henry Kissinger, born in 1923. I'm Tushar Saxena, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets. Any size and any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and cow kings. Any size and any color, just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 800-489-0201. Use promo code LIBERTY or go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code LIBERTY for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dreams sheets, any size and any color. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Raj Shah, host of Unleash Your Wealth.
You know, there are a lot of clients and people coming in from the radio into our office saying, I don't want to lose any money. I need to protect the money I have saved over the last 20 or 30 years, where you have strategies where you can structure an income stream where it has an inflation protection so that as inflation, if it continues to go up, your income will go up.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Can you afford not to have effective video surveillance? Is your outdoor inventory at risk? Theft and vandalism can hit your bottom line hard. Stop these events before they happen. Monitor your business 24/7 with alarm detection systems. We prevent crime with live operators watching video alerts, ensuring your assets and employees are secure. It's not worth the liability when you can effectively protect what matters most. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143. Spending too much on security guards to patrol your property? With rising crime rates, guards may not be enough. And the cost, it's adding up fast. At Alarm Detection Systems, we offer a more innovative solution. Live video monitoring. Cameras provide extra coverage in even the hardest to reach areas. Unlike guards, they never get intimidated. Our operators watch video alerts in real time, cut costs, increase coverage, and stay secure. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Here's a question for all the journalists insisting they didn't know about Joe Biden's cognitive decline. Were you corrupt, stupid, or both? It's been obvious to everyone for a very long time that the former president was struggling to fulfill even the most basic duties of his office. Back when there was only a limited number of legacy media outlets, they might have been able to get away with a massive deception. But those days are long gone. It's no longer possible for anyone to control a narrative. Once respected journalists want us to believe that they're learning only now that President Biden wasn't fit for office. What it shows is that their contempt for the intelligence of normal people knows no bounds. They really think we're that stupid. But we're not. And legacy media will never recover from this deception. Nor should it. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Come on with this, people. Move it!
Did you really think you could make that company deliver yourself?
Oh, I cannot handle any more traffic.
You could be getting much more done at your place of business.
I've wasted 45 minutes and now this place is gonna close.
Time is money. Let Quick Delivery Service take on the traffic hassle for you. They'll deliver almost anything, from large pallets of materials to important documents, or both. No forms, no labels, no scanning. Just tell Quick Delivery Service where it's going, they'll pick it up, and get it to your destination quickly. Your cargo delivery is tracked in real time with GPS. Notifications are delivered right to your inbox. Visit QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. Or you can deliver like this.
Seriously, another train?
Or get your delivery there on time with QuickDelivery.com. Or call 847-534-2244. 847-534-2244.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Are you looking for a peaceful and enduring resting place for yourself or a loved one? Discover Fairview Memorial Park in North Lake, Illinois, a tranquil haven where your family's legacy can be honored for generations. We're excited to announce the upcoming completion of our beautiful new garden mausoleum opening this spring, offering both above-ground burial and cremation options. This serene space is surrounded by meticulously maintained landscaping and beautiful trees. With limited space available in our mausoleum, now's the time to plan ahead. Reserve your family's place today with prices starting around $7,000. And for a limited time, take advantage of a $500 discount when you pre-purchase a crypt. To learn more or secure your spot, visit fairview-memorialpark.com. That's fairview-memorialpark.com. Or stop by Fairview Memorial Park at 900 North Wolf Road in North Lake. Fairview Memorial Park. Peacefully beautiful.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Cloudy skies, breezy afternoon, passing shower, and a high today 67. Clouds and a brief shower or two tonight, low 54. Rainy and cool tomorrow, the high 63. And then clouds, a brief shower on Thursday with the high at 69. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Hope everybody had a lovely Africa Day celebration over the weekend. Took time to reflect on Africa's liberation from colonialism, generally speaking. Obviously, in addition to that, taking time to remember and reflect upon the contributions to Western society from George Floyd. Those were the highlights of this weekend, as far as I understood it from what I saw from the D.C. press corps. And politicians on the left, of course, both national and local, like our very own BLM Brandon.
Hello, I am Mayor Brandon Johnson, and I am proud to join you in recognizing and celebrating Africa Day. The continent of Africa is made up of 1.2 billion people with diverse countries full of rich traditions, cultures, and heritage. The African diaspora can be found in cities and countries around the globe. And right here in Chicago, our proud African communities have made indelible contributions to the growth and fabric of our amazing city. So this Africa Day, let us take a moment to celebrate the achievements of the people of Africa, the progress made by African nations, and the traditions and culture they have shared with us. And let us also show them that we will embrace and support them as they continue to overcome and face their challenges head on. Thank you. And happy Africa Day, everyone.
Happy Africa Day to you. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Angela, I thought the choice of sort of an island music as a bed was an odd one, but nonetheless.
He was so excited, Dan, to tell us. Apparently Africa Day was Sunday, so yes, I don't know what the color scheme was.
I think it's technically Saturday. I think it's technically May 25th. I'm not an Africa Day
I've never
purist,
heard of it
but
before.
I think it's May 25th. Yeah.
I've never heard of it before. Am I out of it? Am I not cool or hip anymore?
Well, that's the need for the mayor to recognize it so that we can all celebrate it together. So here's what that is. Okay. The idea of this message about Africa Day on Memorial Day weekend. What he wants you to do is bait you into this idea. Oh, you don't recognize the contributions and the people from the peoples of Africa? No, it's fine. We got a lot of immigrants from Chicago, legal immigrants from Nigeria and other places in Africa. Okay, fine, whatever. It's about his orientation. This is about orientation, and they want to trap, if you don't celebrate it, or if you if you're critical of his raising the profile on this, then you're a racist, and you're not concerned about the people of Africa, and you don't recognize the people who are from Africa, who are in our city and our state and the country. No. It's none of that. It's none of that. It's just all about orientation. And what BLM Brandon and the left's orientation is to identity politics, and obviously in particular with BLM Brandon, the black versus white dichotomy. Everything is black versus white. Not black and white, black versus white with this guy.
Yep.
And he can continue doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on that. And all he does is ensure that he will soon be another footnote in Chicago history along with Lori Lightfoot.
312-642-5600, our turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line.
Yeah, and then, of course, you saw, I mean, some of the just on the same topic, I'm surprised there wasn't a mention of George Floyd from BLM Brandon.
Oh.
But I mean, it's very minimal. 100 people in Federal Plaza, a few hundred people up in Minneapolis with a candlelight vigil. But some of the scenes that were represented from 5 years ago, boy, oh boy. I mean, watching that Minneapolis mayor.
Oh, cry at the casket. I know.
That eunuch, that soy boy, Jacob Fry. Yeah, kneel down before before George Floyd's casket. He wasn't, and by the way, it was like a state funeral in Minneapolis. He wasn't just crying; he was bawling,
wailing, and he had tissue in his head, grasping for air. I mean, he couldn't control himself. It was so embarrassing. Stand up and be a man.
It's a combination of performative, and it actually is the orientation. I really want to focus on that word, orientation of these people. I don't know if it was something that happened, some sort of trauma in their youth, or just the wear and tear of spending a couple of decades in indoctrination camps. We call them government schools. But the orientation of these individuals. And then we're going to come together and forge common ground for a common vision of a free America. I mean, it's just
and also
silly.
too, it was the first time in years that people were allowed to have funerals. You couldn't have a funeral, but he had 3 funerals. One in Minneapolis, one in Rayford, North Carolina, near his birthplace, and the third one in Houston. When we're told you stay inside, you can't go outside. Then all of a sudden everybody's outside marching together, burning the city down or whatever select city insert here.
Well,
and then they had that.
Yeah, we'll talk to John Hindraker later in the show about sort of Minneapolis pre and post George Floyd, what it looks like 5 years later. There's a lot of before and after pictures of various neighborhoods in Minneapolis that were circulating online this weekend, too. The afters don't look quite as scenic as the befores, I'll tell you that.
And then they blame that there's no police reform. That's why things look the way they are.
By the way, speaking of Africa, BLM Brandon's good buddy, I assume, I don't know, but I just assume he would run interference for him, just like Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, was running interference for him when he visited the Oval Office last week. That Julius Malema, the EFF, sort of paramilitary communist leader in South Africa, he was back to his old tricks this weekend.
Shoot to kill, Kilama. Shoot to kill, Namaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. I repeat, kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know why that anybody would want to, any white farmer would want to be fleeing South Africa for the United States, right? They're cowards. That's what their president Ramaphosa said of them.
Oh yeah, right.
Marvin in Burlington, Wisconsin.
Yeah, listen, I'm not for colonization, whatever the hell they want to claim that is, but since the decolonization of Africa, has it been such a great place? I mean, it seems like there's one civil war there, one genocide after the other over the last several decades. And then also on the George Floyd, thing, I think he should be congratulated. I hope he got his 5-year sobriety pin, and that should go a long way for a good example for his community.
Thanks for the call, Marvin. That 5-year sober joke is starting to wear on me. It's like everybody is repeating it. So yeah, okay. But yeah, I mean, well, right. I mean, look at going back to the Dark Continent. Again, you want to have you want to celebrate continents, various continents one day a year. Oh, okay, happy Antarctica Day. That'll be sometime in winter. I don't know. I don't care. That's fine. But it's just, I say again, it's just the orientation and the need to take the time to make a video, to release it. I know it's May 25th, but to release it over Memorial Day weekend, to make no mention of Memorial Day.
Not at all.
And our war dead. The people that died for this country, so someone from Nigeria can come to Chicago and make a better life for themselves. That would have been an interesting tie-in, but that's not his orientation.
He can't bring himself to do it.
It's not even bringing himself. He has no concept. Right. That when he has no concept to even contemplate something like that.
Text message: Dan and Amy, pick a day in February for Africa Day. There's a whole month dedicated to African Americans. Then another text message: what is Africa Day? I've never heard of it.
This is Africa Day, not Black American Day.
Okay.
Yeah, April. Yeah. Well, we've already mentioned it's started at. This is sort of like Kwanzaa. It was started at like 60 years ago as some sort of, I think, with the Organization of African States creation and to celebrate freedom from colonialism. Well, that's all well and good, and I too am not a colonialist, like Marvin from Burlington, Wisconsin. But the history of Africa is one of, not exclusively, but it is a significant part of it since the colonial era is one of despotism and civil war and death and deprivation and corruption. So,
well, they have a theme. So this year's Africa Day is celebrated under the theme, Dan, revisiting our history, shaping our future.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, look, that's the same nonsense that we do with all these special days,
and colors and flags and ribbons and pins.
That's just endemic to the sentimental human walking the planet, whether they're walking the planet in East Africa or the South Side. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, we'll continue to stay on Chicago and this orientation. The orientation, Chicago and Illinois, it's all hands on deck to fight Trump, and Kwame Raoul says we're winning. What does winning look like? 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 54 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump is pardoning a former Virginia sheriff convicted of federal bribery charges.
Former Culpeper County Sheriff Scott Jenkins was found guilty in December and was to begin serving a 10-year prison sentence Tuesday. Trump wrote on Truth Social that he was granting an unconditional pardon to Jenkins. The president added Jenkins and his family have been, quote, dragged through hell by a corrupt and weaponized Biden DOJ. Jenkins was found guilty of taking more than $75,000 in bribes in exchange for appointing several businessmen as auxiliary deputy sheriffs within his department. I'm Chris Coraggio.
In honor of this week's Scripps National Spelling Bee, a new study is revealing the most misspelled words in America.
The company Word Unscrambler used Google search data to determine the most misspelled words.
Here they are. Nationally, the top 5 most misspelled words are definitely, separate, necessary, believe, and through. I'm Mark Mayfield.
This report is sponsored by Starbucks. The Starbucks Summer Berry Refresher is back. Notes of raspberry, blueberry, and blackberry shaken with ice and poured over raspberry-flavored pearls make it yours. Try it with lemonade or coconut milk. Available for a limited time, Summer Berry Refresher is ready at Starbucks. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now checking your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Hugh Hewitt can see the future of Gaza.
They're down to Mohammed Sinwar, who's like the C team. The little brother who gets to play because big brother is LeBron, the LeBron of terrorists, and then he gets killed. I don't think they have anyone to deal with, and this is going to end with Hamas fleeing in disarray. And Israel's going to reoccupy all of Gaza, and that's all there is to it.
The Hugh Hewitt Show, afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you seen what's been happening in the stock market lately? The market has had some rough days. And if you think those numbers don't mean anything to you and your retirement plan, think again. Can you afford to lose a big chunk of your retirement savings in a single day at this stage of your life? If you want to make sure you aren't taking on more risk than you're comfortable with, call the team at Scott Tucker Solutions now. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Make sure you're prepared for whatever happens in the market, and if you already have a retirement plan, let's take a look to make sure you're properly diversified. Call Scott Tucker Solutions today to help make sure more bad days in the market don't disrupt your retirement plans. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Your life and your loved ones' lives depends on what you've done to prepare. Disasters, shortages, supply chain failures, they're not ifs, they're wins. Don't be left without life-saving medication. The Jace case is a prescribed set of emergency antibiotics, life-saving medications you have on hand before you need them, offering peace of mind, no panicking, fast, affordable, and could save your life. Go to JASE.com. Use code RADIO for a discount, because once the shelves are empty, it's already too late.
Attention American homeowners, you're under attack. Your home and equity could be vulnerable to cyber thieves. There's only one company that completely stops them, and that company is Equity Protect. Equity Protect prevents any attempts to steal your home, equity, and ownership 24/7. Get your free risk report today by texting the word HOME to 94878. That's right, text the word HOME to 94878 to get your free risk report. Keep your equity and legacy safe with Equity Protect.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find it in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or Amazon, or newnordicusa.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Cloudy skies, breezy this afternoon, a passing shower and a high 67. Cloudy with a brief shower tonight, low 54. Rain and cooler tomorrow, the high 63. Mostly cloudy, couple of brief showers around on Thursday, high 69. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Orientation. How the city orients itself to its residents, to our politics, both locally and nationally. Before we delve into a little bit deeper into that, though, let's fold in another city-level development, and that's the end of the Jussie Smollett saga. Jussie Smollett, that French actor. Jussie Smollett settling his civil suit with the city, and you remember Jussie Smollett, not just from the the ridiculously ham-handed, invented racial assault that he alleged he suffered, but also just the whole saga of it and his race hustling. I mean, you can understand why Jesse Smollett thought he could race hustle his way out of what he had done because, well, he sees what Chicago platforms in terms of its political leaders. This is Jesse Smollett back in 2022 when he did his, you're out of order, this whole damn system is out of order, Al Pacino impersonation.
Suicidal. Okay? I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fears of black Americans in this country for over 400 years and the fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you and I respect the jury, but I did not do this, and I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself, and you must all know that. I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time, I am not suicidal.
Okay.
Are you suicidal?
Mr. Uche, let me inquire, are there any post-sentencing motions you care to present? Court is adjourned.
I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal, and I am innocent.
Right. And then in 23, his conviction was overturned by the Illinois State Supreme Court. Don't really want to relitigate the case, but the civil suit, he still faced a civil suit from the city for the expenditure of resources to respond to the false report that he made. And he, as part of the settlement, he wrote this statement.
He's gross. Yes.
Over 6 years ago, after it was reported I had been jumped. It was reported? You reported it.
Right. You're the one who called police.
It's always interesting when somebody uses the passive third-party voice to describe something they did. City officials in Chicago set out to convince the public that I willfully set an assault against myself. This false narrative has left a stain on my character that will not soon disappear. These officials wanted my money and wanted my confession for something I did not do. Today, it should be clear they have received neither. Well, and then he goes on to detail how the deal is he makes a $50,000 donation to a charity of, I don't know who's choosing, but he's donating $50,000 to Building Brighter Future Center for the Arts. And
Chicago Torture Justice Center.
Well, and $10,000 to that, but that's, I think, not part of the agreement. He's just throwing in another $10,000 to the Chicago Torture Justice Center. I'm grateful to have had the resource to defend myself. So many do not. They're backed into corners to take deals and confess to crimes they did not actually commit. So in their honor, I'm doing this. I don't know if that's part of the settlement or not, but regardless, they are getting some of his money because it's a settlement that he's giving at least $50,000 to one charity and another $10,000 to another charity. To everyone who has supported me, thank you. You're welcome. No. Your prayers and belief in me mean more than words can properly express, and so on and so forth. And onward, he will fight. Boy, I'm actually a little surprised he still has $60,000 to throw around between the end of his acting career and the legal fees. He must have really made a lot of money in that Empire show, huh?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could text us on the same line. But the city filed the lawsuit, remember, in 2019 over $130,000, which they said is money that they spent investigating his claims that he'd been attacked in a racially motivated incident. Because, where you used to live, that's why you moved out, Dan, because all those violent MAGA supporters walking around in River North and Streeterville.
Yeah, the money is not material. It's the fact that a race hustle like this could be perpetrated, and he basically walks away from it. I mean, his reputation is destroyed in the larger world, but in Chicago, we're just sort of inured to this sort of conduct, and it continues. Not only we're inured to it, we elevate it. I mean, we put people in office that do this professionally. We pay, I think many people pay false reverence. Some people pay actual reverence, which is even more frightening, to professional race hustlers like Jesse Jackson and his family. That's what we do in Chicago. And that's why, by the way, not coincidentally, it is the most de facto segregated city in America. And it's funny to listen to politicians talk about Africa Day and talk about the West and South sides that have been neglected. By who? By you? I mean, you're in charge, not MAGA. And the racial polarization and the need for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're such a divided city. We need to be in a... I mean, that's all they do. It's just frustrating to watch this play out again and again, including in the most spectacularly ridiculous cases like Jussie Smollett. And nobody takes away the top line lesson. Like, we got to stop doing this. And we got to start punishing people who do this rather than putting them in public office. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. So meanwhile, if you're not playing the race hustle, then you've got your boogeyman in D.C. with the orange hair named Trump. Chicago's former cultural head is pushing back hard on Trump's art attacks. This is the cultural affairs person that existed under Lightfoot. And she got bounced for some fungible functionary by BLM Brandon. Listen to the reporting on this from NPR. It's not biased, I know. They just the WBEZ, this literally the state-funded media, as was offered in testimony by the CEOs of both NPR and PBS several weeks back. No, I don't see anything partisan in our coverage. No, of course not. Just like a fish doesn't know he's in water. Although that's not even true because, of course, they see it. And, of course, this is purposeful. The way this is reported by state-run media. Aaron Harkey, this is the woman profiled here and interviewed, tapped to lead Americans for the Arts just weeks into Trump's second term. Now she's been catapulted into the center of a national conversation as she leads the effort to resist the administration's attacks on the sector. So it is saying that, the government shouldn't be in the business of deciding what is worthy of other people's money. So that would necessarily implicate the NEA, the NEH, National Endowments for the Arts and for the Humanities. Is that an attack? Is that an attack on the sector? Is that an attack on art? Is the Trump administration putting opera singers and blow artists like Hunter Biden in a gulag somewhere? No, I don't think so. Are they sending some goon squad to shut down the Goodman Theater? No, I don't think so. Attacks. Resisting the attacks, leading the fight against the attacks. The entitlement. Because somebody at some point made a terrible public policy decision to say we're going to provide a funding stream to this or that, it should exist in perpetuity. And anybody who would challenge it on philosophical grounds is attacking them. Orientation. The way we think and talk about things. Kwame Raoul, your Illinois State Attorney General. Again, the NPR Times, state-funded, run media, literally. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul takes a leading role in fighting Trump. We're winning! To Attorney General Kwame Raoul, the legal war against President Donald Trump is personal. What is this, a Steven Seagal movie? Raoul is a Chicago native born to Haitian immigrants, making him a self-described birthright baby. You made it personal, Mr. President. So he's fighting back against this personal attack that Donald Trump has leveled against him. Not a philosophical disagreement about a clause in the 14th Amendment and the implications of interpreting it one way versus another. Oh, no, it's all personal. And it's an attack. And we're fighting back. You know what? These politicians and their functionaries in places like Chicago and Illinois, they're really, I mean, you know, in terms of the approach that they take, they don't rise to the level of the tyrant I'm about to mention because they're not literally massacring people with their own hands. Indirectly, they are. Safety Act, defunding police, all kinds of other terrible public policy, government housing projects, and incentives for family disintegration. Indirectly, they are. But when I'm reading the story after story like this, I'm thinking about Putin, and I'm thinking about when your homeland or your home community is disintegrating at your own hands. You know what you need to do? You need to find a threat outside that you can focus everybody's attention on. And, you know, if we defeat Trump, then it's going to be the land of milk and honey in Chicago and in Illinois again. We just have to defeat the big bad orange man. We have to stop these attacks on the arts rather than saying, you know, if there's art that's worthy, then I'm sure we can get, American Airlines and AN Corporation to fund it, just like it funds the Lyric and Goodman and so on and so forth. But I don't, that's sort of a side note, but you understand the point. This is what they just project out. They're playing the same thing, sort of writ large that they play locally, which is we're the victims, but we're fighting back, just like you're the victims, and we're fighting for you. This is the larger scam of the identitarians, and just the craven politicians of all races, because there's some honkies playing this game too in Chicago and Illinois, of course. Bill, Northwest Side.
Yeah, the question is, why is that $50,000 going to charities and not back to the taxpayers of Chicago? They're the ones that got ripped off by this guy.
Yeah, taxpayers of Chicago don't care.
True.
They don't care.
Jesse Smollett's still the victim. Come on. He's the victim of a hate crime still.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, though. I mean, if the city of Chicago is such a wonderful unit of government doing so many great things, you would think that every marginal dollar we could scrape together should go right into the city because they're going to spend it the most wisely, not some nonprofit. Yeah, right. So while this is going on, just to close the loop on my point here, if I might, here's some stories. Man who tried to kill Chicago cop during traffic stop was on felony pretrial release. Detained about 2 weeks after he allegedly struck the officer with a pickup truck. Pretrial release. Safety Act. Now charged with attempted murder of a peace officer and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon because he was out. Safety Act. Don't pay attention to the consequences of the Safety Act. No. The DOJ investigation into illegal hiring practices at City Hall, which has now made the Wall Street Journal, Brandon Johnson. We talked about quite a bit last week. His big pronouncement basically about hiring black people because they're black, which is a violation of federal law. But I know these are minor matters when it comes to the hustle here in Chicago. The implications of that. Philip in Blue Island.
Wow. You kind of jumped around on me a whole lot here.
No, I didn't.
The last point was as far as, hiring blacks because they're black. What about the times when they weren't hiring blacks at all because they were black? And
those are wrong, too. Both things can be wrong, and they turn out to be, Philip. Next.
Okay, I grant you that. So that's why DEI and other forms of to reverse discrimination as far as affirmative action and things like that. So at points they were necessary. They were needed. to right the wrongs. When it comes to being, Raul was talking about his personal, when Trump can pick out non-white people all over and send them to just the most deplorable places, but then accept, 50, 60 South Africans, white, and then he lies about the death of farmers when most of the deaths on these farms were black people, and he sits in the Oval Office and the right says nothing. You say nothing to correct the wrongs that he's putting out there, and that's why it's personal for black people, because we got to sit back and we got to watch him do all these things, especially when he's bringing in these, especially from South Africa, all of the horrors of apartheid and all of the fighting that Nelson Mandela and all of the rest of the ANC had to do to get us to this point in South Africa, to a unified government and whites trying to work with blacks and all, and then he steps in the middle of it. And he steps in the middle of it and just lies from the Oval Office. And then we're not supposed to take it personally.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, he's not lying about white farmers being killed. It's documented. And by the way, if you saw last week the exchange between Caroline Leavitt and Yamiche Alcindor, I mean, they had the receipts. Go look at the AP, Associated Press's documentation of white farmers being murdered. I mean, we have story after story. We have appeal. I'm sorry. I'm talking now. We have appeal after appeal being made personally by people in that country. We have people that are giving up their land to come to this country to start over. Because why? Because they don't like their land? They don't like the investments they made? No. I mean, let's follow the logic in addition to the actual evidence, Philip. So that's number one. Number two, no one is. I mean, we were letting in people that are non-white, and we're sending them to the worst places, but we're treating people that immigrate into this country legally differently somehow. I'm unclear on that.
Well, I mean, as far as just like this one guy, I don't know, it's so much news.
I know. You should read some of it, so you don't just repeat the things that you wish were true in furtherance of defending something and somebody that is indefensible. And here's the thing. Hold on, Philip, because you're not going to talk over me. That's not how it works. I'll let you talk. I want Philip from Blue Island, who, by the way, doesn't live in Chicago. He lives in Blue Island, to explain to us all. I've challenged him before. Why Chicagoland, let's include the south suburbs where a significant black population resides, remains the most de facto segregated region in the country. Why is that? Is it a good thing? Tell us about it. Who's responsible? Trump? He just got here. Give me a quick tour of the last 50 years. Just 50 years in Chicago. Okay, Philip, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Anywhere that we even if we get greater jobs, we get greater income as far as black people, we get the availability to certain housing in certain areas outside of the redlining that we had been entrapped in for a century. I know. So now we still move into certain areas, and all of a sudden, all the housing values are going to go down, and it's the white people here. And what do they do? What do you all do, Dan? You all move out. Y'all don't want to be with us.
White flight is why it's segregated. I see. So why is it so much? So there are other concentrations of black Americans in urban centers, places like Atlanta, a lot of big cities, Dallas, and yet go look at the data. Go look at the data that our friend Ted Dabrowski from WirePoints has put together. Chicago Metro is performing across almost every quality of life metric worse for black residents as compared to other major urban centers for their black residents. So why is that? It's just redlining in Chicago? That didn't happen elsewhere? It's just what is it? But it has nothing to do with Chicago. It's just sort of the white man is keeping me down. It's nonsense, Philip. And until you decide to look a little bit deeper than just than just this, it's all the honkies' fault rap that you run. Your mind is not going to change. I get it, because it's never going to be informed, and this conversation is never going to change. And conditions actually for black residents of Chicago and the south suburbs are not going to improve either. But you're winning because Kwame Orrell says you are. We're winning. We're beating Trump. At what? This is what winning looks like? Is Dalton and Harvey and Riverdale and Posen and Blue Island? Is that what winning looks like? The south and west sides of Chicago? That's what winning looks like? You're sticking it to Trump. Are you tired of winning yet under Brandon Johnson and Lori Lightfoot and Tiny Dancer and Tiny Daly all the way back, and all the city council members and your governor and all the constitutional officers and your supermajorities in the House and the Senate? Are you tired of winning under them yet? You're winning. Kwame Orrell said so. Neil in LaGrange.
Hey, Dan. About 5 minutes ago, you hit the nail on the head when you used the word projecting. The only thing they've got is their hatred for Donald Trump. And that's all they parrot all day long. And it's, they don't have any issues to go on. And it just gets old, and it just gets old and old and old. And, if they repeat the lie over and over and over again, they think it's going to be true. I just listened to, I don't know how to spell or pronounce the woman's name, Hermie Dillon. He's the...
Hermie Dillon, DOJ civil rights attorney. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing what she said when she took over. What happened to her department, all the people that left, the crying sessions. It was hysterical. The deep state. And it was, you follow this stuff. But,
thanks for the call, Neil. We're up against the clock. Appreciate it. Coming up at 6:06, it is graduation season, so you get commencement addresses. And University of Maryland did a lot better with their selection than did Wake Forest. 6:06.
Today we're going to have cloudy skies, an afternoon storm, a high of 67 degrees. And then tomorrow, a little bit cooler, a high of 63. And on Thursday, maybe we'll hit 70. It is now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Russia takes a little more of Ukraine. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, seizing control of 4 border villages in northeast Ukraine following a deadly bombardment over the weekend. The Wall Street Journal reports President Trump is considering new sanctions this week,
saying his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin had gone absolutely crazy. The Kremlin's hit back, Putin's spokesman saying the crazy comment was connected to an emotional overload of everyone involved. 13 people were killed in Ukraine over the weekend by 367 drones and missiles, prompting Germany to remove range restrictions on arms supplied to Ukraine. It means German-supplied weapons can attack military positions deep inside Russia.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Police in Philadelphia keep searching for multiple shooters who opened fire last night in Fairmount Park, killing 2 people, wounding 9 others.
It is a challenge when individuals decide that they're going to fire into a crowd.
Police Commissioner Kevin Bethel. The manhunt for escaped prisoners in Louisiana is down to 2 after 3 more were captured yesterday.
Blanton Van Buren was found in Baton Rouge, sitting on a bench near a department store after someone called in an anonymous tip. The other 2, Jermaine Donald and Leo Tate, were captured in Walker County, Texas, more than 300 miles from the jail they escaped from. Police say the 2 led law enforcement on a high-speed chase before being taken into custody.
That's Fox's Todd Pyro. There's also been a 13th arrest of people charged with either helping the 10 prisoners break out a week and a half ago or helping fugitives on the run. It's also day 3 of the manhunt for a convicted murderer who broke out of a prison in Arkansas. A big night for Billie Eilish at the American Music Awards on CBS through Dick Clark Productions, winning in all 7 categories Eilish was nominated in, including Artist of the Year, Song of the Year, and Favorite Pop Album.
Thank you to the AMAs. Thank you to the fans. I know you voted for this. This means the world to me.
Kendrick Lamar had the most nominations, 10, but got just 1 award. Taylor Swift won none. America's listening to Fox News.
Good Good morning. It's 55 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. A teenage bicyclist is dead after colliding with an SUV in Chicago's Loop. Police say an 18-year-old was riding a bike early yesterday in the 100 block of North Michigan Avenue when friends say that he hit a GMC SUV going the opposite direction. The team was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The driver of the SUV was cited and refused medical attention at the scene. Charges are pending following a stabbing on the near north side. Police say a man was walking down the sidewalk Sunday night in the 700 block of North State Street when he got into an argument with a man and 17-year-old girl. The two offenders began hitting the man, causing him to fall on the ground. The pair then stabbed the victim multiple times. The man was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The suspected attackers were arrested. A man is hospitalized after he fell into Lake Michigan while riding his bike on the south side. It happened Sunday afternoon in the 3900 block of Lakeshore Drive. The CPD Marine Unit rescued the 67-year-old man. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. And police are searching for a woman accused of trying to kidnap a child from the backyard on the west side. The incident allegedly happened on Sunday afternoon in the first block of North Lockwood Avenue. Authorities say the suspect grabbed a youngster before a relative confronted the suspect and brought the girl home to her mother. The woman is described as African American between the age of 20 and 25 and is still at large. News is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew. Anytime, anywhere, anyplace. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Charlie Kirk explains the cover-up.
Everybody, they were running this man for re-election less than 10 months ago. We know that Joe Biden did not have the mental faculties. I said this to the face of reporters for years, and they said, oh, no, you're just a right-wing extremist. And these reporters actively covered up one of the greatest scandals in American history.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
This is a special alert during this window replacement season. Don't get tricked by the cheapest offers and gimmicky ads. Now's the time to see and feel the difference of high-performance windows from Valdecas.
When it's time to consider new windows, siding, and doors for your home, you need to look no further. Sebastian Gorka here to tell you about Valdecas. Valdecas has been the trusted name chosen by thousands of homeowners, and they should be your number one choice too. But what's really behind the name Valdecas? Over 25 years of a team dedicated to providing you with the best customer service experience and products that truly bring value to your home. They are a Pella Platinum Elite Status certified contractor for a reason. They have an A+ rating with the BBB, as well as high ratings and positive reviews on both Google and Houzz. Schedule your free in-house consultation at Valdecas.com.
Ask about their exclusive manufacturer warranties and their 10-year workmanship guarantee.
Don't wait. Book today at Valdecas.com. For the best in class, it's Valdecas.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
If you have high blood pressure, May is your month. Well, let me rephrase that. May is High Blood Pressure Education Month, a time to raise awareness about high blood pressure and stroke prevention. If you or someone close to you has high blood pressure, also known as hypertension, which is a risk factor for heart disease and stroke, here's what you can do to manage it. Eat a healthy diet and maintain a healthy weight. Exercise regularly. Limit alcohol and avoid smoking. Take medications as prescribed and monitor your blood pressure. And something else many have success with, drink 120 Life. Yes, 120 Life, the delicious juice and powdered mix with natural ingredients that's shown to lower blood pressure. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. Visit 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout.
From the Team Hawkburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes, 13 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 9 minutes, outbound about 12 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 13 minutes, outbound 14 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 18 minutes, outbound 15 minutes. Traffic is a service of Fox Valley Coins. This is a great time to bring in your scrap, gold jewelry, and sterling flatware. Cash or check offered on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Cloudy skies, breezy this afternoon, a passing shower and a high 67. Cloudy with a brief shower tonight, low 54. Rain and cooler tomorrow, the high 63. Mostly cloudy, couple of brief showers around on Thursday, high 69. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Graduation season, commencement addresses. Who was the commencement speaker at your graduation from the University of Iowa, Amy?
I don't remember. Oh, maybe, no, it was the president of the university. What's his name? Rawlings? Yes, he spoke at our graduation, believe it or not.
The president of the university was your commencement speaker?
Yep. Yeah.
That's not very imaginative.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, Dan. Who is yours?
Was Chuck Long not available? Our speaker was just. I think that. It was not particularly memorable. Although the speech wasn't bad, I think it was just another academic. I believe his name was Charles Johnson, but it's a little hazy.
Have you ever delivered a commencement speech?
No, no. And I don't think Northwestern is going to be enlisting me anytime soon.
I don't think so either.
Or Bennett, for that matter. Because you're not allowed to be critical of idiocy. You have to be one of those protect the shield all the time at all costs, no matter what kind of
decisions,
egregious conduct, they have engaged in. But it is that time of year, and so. Over the weekend, I saw two of the more interesting commencement speeches, or maybe not most interesting, but the ones that were garnering a lot of attention. One at University of Maryland and the one at Wake Forest. University of Maryland I preferred, and I did watch.
I watched the whole 12 minutes of it. I thought it was great.
Watch, each
cheeky,
in its entirety.
it was.
Here's a snippet.
You are all here. You're all here to listen to a frog in a very tiny cap and gown give a commencement speech.
So Kermit the Frog, of course.
Yes.
It wasn't bad. It was very very grade schoolish in terms of like,
Right.
the advice for college
follow
graduates.
your dreams and
Find
in
your
this
people.
together. We could do it together. I was waiting for Mrs. Piggy to come out and punch him in the face, Macrome style.
Yeah. And for those who are wondering, well, why would Kermit the Frog give a commencement at University of Maryland?
Why would Kermit the Frog give a commencement speech at the University of Maryland?
I'm so glad you asked, because Jim Henson, the Muppets creator, is a Maryland graduate, and actually was his wife as well. I think they met there.
Good.
So there you go. Oh, and now that we got the fun part out of the way, the non-controversial part.
Angry Town.
Scott Pelley also gave a very pedestrian commencement address for someone who wants to make his commencement address about the leftist politics du jour, which is what he did. It's actually quite boring, but it's generating a lot of attention because he basically said under Trump, we're at end times, and the Wake Forest grads are the last line of defense. You're the vanguard of democracy. It was all very overheated and hysterical and projectionist, as you would expect from an empty vessel like Scott Pelley. And as Laura Ingraham, I think, was the one who observed this too. In his he's a cartoon too. I mean, he's a puppet. He's more of a puppet than Kermit is. He's got that Kent Brockman, I'm a TV anchor voice, and sort of mannerism. Yeah. He's such a phony. He's such a one-dimensional human being. But of course, when you strike out at Trump and Trump supporters, you generate a response, and that's what he was going for.
But in this moment, this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear to speak in America. Power can rewrite history with grotesque, false narratives. They can make criminals heroes and heroes criminals. Power can change the definition of the words we use to describe reality. Diversity is now described as illegal. Equity is to be shunned. Inclusion is a dirty word. This is an old playbook, my friends. There's nothing new in this.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line.
It's, it's like bad summer stock listening to this guy. Oh, I bet he killed as Othello, in his high school, the high school rendition wherever he went. He's so very dramatic and Shakespearean and America and all of this. Well, but since he brought it up, well, let's talk about it a little bit. Thank you, Scott. Campus life over the last 40 years, which including free speech. Was it Trump and MAGA who initiated speech codes and trigger warnings and bias response teams and safe spaces and no-go zones for Jewish students? That's just off the top of my head. All of those transgressions on a free society, all of those affronts to concepts like due process, bias response teams. 40 years of this, at least. And you have what to say about that? Because I hate to break it to you, But this was not advanced by conservatives on campus, in part because there are so few conservatives on campus. So even if you had a few conservatives oriented this way, well, number one, they wouldn't be conservatives. But number two, even if they had a misguided idea of conservatism, it would have been impossible to implement. But all of that stuff happened. So at whose hands, Scott? Was it Trump and MAGA who spiked inconvenient academic research, compelled social promotion, and purged dissident academics? Or attempted to? Was it Trump and MAGA who frauded Asian applicants to schools like Harvard by falsifying their character scores to keep them out? You're familiar with the Supreme Court case, right, Scott? Nothing to say about that. No, just like the rest of your hyperventilating brethren. You imagine transgressions because you don't like the person in office. You imagine transgressions that could happen and ignore all the transgressions that did. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
And don't forget, CBS aired Kamala Harris giving two different answers to the same question.
Yeah, but that's the least of their offenses. That's the least of the offenses of Scott Pelley and Leslie Stahl and the cast of propagandists at 60 Minutes. It's as much as what they dutifully ignored as what they sort of proactively covered, quote unquote, in advance of their own political interests. He went on and on and on.
30 minutes.
What is the meaning of life?
Oh, what is the meaning of life?
Who are you? You are the educated. You are the compassionate. You are the fierce defenders of democracy, the seekers of truth, the vanguard against ignorance. You are millions strong across our land. I might be sorry that you were picked by history for this role, but maybe that was the plan. Hard times are going to make you better and going to make you stronger. In a few minutes, when that diploma hits your hand, it's not a piece of paper we're giving you. We're handing you the baton. Run with it.
So
Why am I here? I'm here today because I'm 50 years farther down the trail than you are. And I have doubled back this morning to tell you the one thing that I have learned from Volodymyr Zelensky, Nadia Murad, Sam Attar, and 1,000 others. In a moment like this, when our country is in peril, don't ask the meaning of life. Life is asking, what's the meaning of you?
Oh my gosh.
What's the meaning of you? Okay, Aristotle. Okay.
Somebody texted in, it's not Wake Forest, it's Woke Forest.
Well, apparently. What is the meaning of you?
Somebody else said Pelley is very dramatic, and surprisingly, he's married to a woman.
Oh, my man. Oh, man. What is the meaning of you? What the great question that philosophers have wrestled with for time immemorial.
Like what?
Scott Pelley, deep thinker. Oh, man. Woo! Jim in Crown Point.
Can you imagine those kids? They're thinking about getting wrecked at night, and they got to listen to this buffoon up there. And, you know, I've noticed nobody does humor anymore in their speeches. It's all
That's pretty
doom
funny.
and gloom.
Pretty funny, though. Unintentionally, but yeah.
Well, yeah, unintentionally, but it's amazing. And these kids, you know, they play video games. They do all this stuff that this guy doesn't even know about. He's so out of touch. It's disgusting.
Thanks for the call, Jim. But you have to understand, Trump is invading my brain. Trump, get out of my head. The whole thing is you obsess and you make everything political, and then you decry that everything has become political, and everything I think about is Trump. I don't think about everything I think about is not Trump. But for these people, I mean, this is fatal attraction stuff. Listening to Scott Pelley, he's maniacal it's just in an anchorman's voice. America, in America, this is happening. Oh, give it a rest. Gee whiz.
Pumping on the lectern and pointing.
The Vanguard. I learned. By the way, have you looked? I learned from Zelensky and and other recent human rights activists. The one thing you've learned, you've been in this you've been on the planet for 70 years, and you've been in that racket for a half a century, and the people that you think about, are all contemporary. I mean, that's the base. There's no foundation with the sentimentalists. So it's always here and now. Your frame of reference for what the vanguards of democracy is Zelensky. What are you talking about? This is what you've learned, the vast knowledge you've acquired and the wisdom you command now from your life's work. Leads you to say, Zelensky has a lot to teach us about this moment in American history? What?
Jeez.
I guess it's sort of like it's the other side of the coin. Like, Dick Durbin, as I always say, the master of saying unreasonable things in a reasonable tone of voice. If you say something unreasonable, like in a matter-of-fact way, you can get away with it with a lot of people. Same thing if you're melodramatic. Yeah. Like Scott Pelley, what is the meaning of me? Then it's like, oh wow, is that powerful? What an intellectual dynamo he is. He's a nitwit. Roger in DeKalb.
Yeah, that Kent Brockman parallel was spot on. What an egotistical, maniacal maniac. But anyways, when he said we turn criminals to heroes, was he talking about George Floyd?
Yeah, right.
Nobody I know supported that. Have a good one.
Thanks for the call,
They make
Roger.
criminals heroes and heroes criminals.
Yeah, it's another thing that's like, oh, wow, that is so profound until you break it down like Roger just did. Yeah. Becomes less profound quite quickly. George in Naperville.
Yes, campus life needs to get back to bongs, beer, and broads.
The 3 Bs. The staples of campus life. Where did you matriculate, George?
I think George hung up.
Did George leave?
George hung up. He makes his statement,
Yeah, I know.
and then he moves on with his day.
He's a hit and run guy, I know.
Yeah, he drops the line.
Yeah. What, bongs, booze, and broads?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. 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 All right.
The 3 Bs in life.
I could sign up for that. Jordan, Antioch.
Good morning. Yeah, that's not the first time we've heard that speech. It's just a different mouthpiece giving it. And these people are broken. Seriously, just broken. Never to be repaired. And
equity is a bad word now?
Yeah.
Diversity?
Yeah. I think I found somebody I can actually intellectually duel with and completely destroy him. The thing is, though, when you listen to just the same carbon copy crap, all you have to do is put at the end of it, and then in November, the majority of the people in America saw through that and voted for Donald Trump. Because every single thing that he quotes is all the crap that was handed to us by Biden. Criminals into heroes? Yeah, like Amy said, George Floyd, every single person that's put on a pedestal, heroes into criminals, cops, Perry, all these guys that are defending the people. I mean, it's all projectionism. They're masters of it. The problem is, they just are surrounded by it. They can't even see that they're doing anymore because they're broken. Just broken.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. Appreciate it. Well, let's cleanse our palates before we leave this topic.
Go back to Kermit the Frog?
Well, that's not bad. I mean, I love myself some Muppets. I was more of a Statler and Waldorf guy, though. I did like Animal, though, too.
Oh, Animal was crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, that's because he's an animal. He's
Yeah,
wild.
right. No, I was thinking just in terms of leaving you with something that is actually useful from the rare quality commencement address. I mean, Steve Jobs' address to Stanford in 2005 still stands out.
No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. And that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking. Don't settle.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Croscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Croscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Croscom.
Call Croscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Croscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Croscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Croscom.
Croscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Croscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CroscomPublicAdjusters.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
State Representative Kelly Cassidy accuses people who don't want boys in girls' sports of being pedophiles. Of course she did.
What?
636.
Do the mental gymnastics on that. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here are the headlines.
Good morning. It's 55 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump says we owe a debt to those who gave their lives serving in the military. He visited Arlington National Cemetery Monday to mark Memorial Day. He took part in a wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier before delivering remarks. Southwest Airlines is ending its popular 2 bags fly free perk on Wednesday. The low-cost carrier says the move was made to drive revenue growth. It's an about-face for Southwest CEO Bob Jordan, who said back in September that having no bag fees was a huge consumer advantage. Southwest is also set to end open seating in the first half of 2026. Markets get a boost this morning after President Trump hits pause on new EU tariffs. Trump says he's delaying a planned 50% tariff on the European Union until July 9th. Investors are reacting as Dow futures are up nearly 540 points with similar gains for S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. News is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at QuickDelivery.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
It's almost time for AM 560's annual golf outing, presented by Signature Bank. And once again, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation as they support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. It's all happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. Enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf.
While Dennis Prager is recuperating, we know you miss your daily dose of Dennis. That's why Pragertopia is giving you a special gift. Right now, Pragertopia members can hear the best 2 hours of Dennis's favorite segments from as far back as 2010. On Monday, you can hear the Happiness Hour.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what I'm about.
Tuesday is Celebrity Guest Day.
Donald Trump Jr. is in studio with me.
On Wednesday, it's the Male-Female Hour.
I really do wish there were a way to ascertain the number of marriages that this hour has helped.
Thursday, the Ultimate Issues Hour.
Not having ultimate issues clarity is like having a map, but you don't know where you're going.
And Friday is Open Lines.
Feel free to ask me anything about me, about you, about life.
So if you're missing your daily dose of Dennis, go to Pragertopia.com and hear all your favorite segments, along with lectures, celebrity interviews, his famous Torah teachings, and more. Get your daily dose of Dennis at Pragertopia.com. Pragertopia.com.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we give our students credit where credit is due. Credit for deciding in the middle of rush hour traffic to go back and get their bachelor's and a promotion. Credit for managing 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job to pursue an MBA. And credit for serving in the military by day so they can study cybersecurity at night. For over 75 years, we've been helping students receive the credit they deserve. With more than 135 degrees and certificates, students at UMGC can use prior learning or relevant experience to earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's, and graduate students can transfer up to 12 credits toward their master's. At UMGC, you'll find everything from online to hybrid courses and lifetime career services to scholarship opportunities, making your education journey flexible, fast, and affordable. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Can you afford not to have effective video surveillance? Is your outdoor inventory at risk? Theft and vandalism can hit your bottom line hard. Stop these events before they happen. Monitor your business 24/7 with alarm detection systems. We prevent crime with live operators watching video alerts, ensuring your assets and employees are secure. It's not worth the liability when you can effectively protect what matters most. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143. Spending too much on security guards to patrol your property? With rising crime rates, guards may not be enough. And the cost, it's adding up fast. At Alarm Detection Systems, we offer a more innovative solution. Live video monitoring. Cameras provide extra coverage in even the hardest to reach areas. Unlike guards, they never get intimidated. Our operators watch video alerts in real time, cut costs, increase coverage, and stay secure. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find it in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or Amazon, or newnordicusa.com.
From the Team Hawkberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes. Outbound, about 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Vernon interchange, about 17 minutes. Outbound, about 19 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 24 minutes. Outbound, about 18 minutes. This report is sponsored by Discover. Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts. You're stuck in the past. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Cloudy skies, breezy afternoon, passing shower, and a high today 67. Clouds and a brief shower or two tonight, low 54. Raining cool tomorrow, the high 63. And then clouds, a brief shower on Thursday with the high at 69. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I hate to bring this up again and again, but the identitarian left won't let it go, and so we're going to talk about it. You wouldn't think they'd want to dig in on this, but that's what ideologues do. Talking about boys playing girls sports, and in Illinois, where we have this disagreement between state law and Trumpian edicts on the topic. Boys and girls sports. Kelly Cassidy is a state legislator from Chicago. She is a proud member of the LGBTQIA2S++++++++++ community. And she responded to the discussion that has been instigated again about boys and girls spaces in government schools by the controversy in Naperville 203 with a grade school boy who's participating in grade school girls sports. This after the incident in Deerfield grammar schools, where Deerfield administrators allegedly compelled or attempted to compel girls to get comfortable with a boy using their locker room and so forth. This is what Kelly Cassidy had to say about people like you, Amy.
Yeah.
Who don't want boys playing girls sports.
Seek recognition.
Point of personal privilege.
Please proceed.
It's a day that ends in Y, and therefore my colleagues on the other side of the aisle feel the need to share their obsession with children's genitalia once again. The IHSA has revealed that there are three students in the state of Illinois who identify as transgender competing in sports.
So not true.
3.
Not true.
Y'all, we are grown adults, and we are picking on kids because you are obsessed with children's genitalia. Who do you propose we hire to police the locker rooms and bathrooms of our schools? How do you propose we pay for locker room police and bathroom police in every school in our state? And how do you propose we address the inevitable trauma from sexually assaulting every child in a bathroom and locker room by inspecting their genitals? Y'all need to get over yourselves. Y'all need a hobby that doesn't involve obsessing over kids' genitals.
Okay. The sound of one hand clapping there. All right, you pedophiles who don't want boys playing girls' sports, answer Kelly Cassidy. She's a state legislator. She's your better, so you better answer her. 312-6. If I'm allowed to call her her, I've lost track of what her pronouns are. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line. All right, Amy.
Well, I mean, no Republicans are going into locker rooms, checking underneath people's shirts or skirts or pants to check out their genitals. I mean, you talk about a reversal of a script. I mean, there's something wrong with her.
Oh, there's no question there's something wrong with her. There's a lot of things wrong with her. One, she's a demagogue. Two, she is, just she's as much of a moralizing sophist as Scott Pelley.
She accused Republicans 3 times of being obsessed with children's genitals.
Yes. No, it's again, classic projection, quite the opposite here. I mean, you're part of a movement that's completely obsessed with genitals and sexual congress, and including as it relates to kids. You're the groomer adjacent crowd, especially you, Kelly Cassidy. But okay, I'll take the bait. So, who are we going to get to police the bathrooms and the locker rooms? Do we have to hire? We have to hire bathroom and locker room police? I thought we had adults in charge of the schools. Don't we have like administrators and teachers? I thought we had adults in charge of the IHSA. I thought we had adults in the General Assembly. Obviously, I'm wrong, but I thought we did. And so you promulgate rules like so many other states have done that say no boys and girls sports. Here's the funny thing about it, too. Parents and the teachers and administrators know who the boys and the girls are. So there's no checking that needs to go on, right? Nobody's confused about who is a boy and who's a girl. Nobody is. They may pretend to be. I didn't know. Nobody is. I mean, you know, I don't have kids, but this is like, right, you know who your kids are going to school with. And the teachers who are teaching the kids know the kids in their classroom. So it's all very straightforward. By the way, boys and girls don't really look alike.
No.
And they come to school. Unless you're, Charlize Theron, or you've got a bunch of Charlize Therons in your district, and everybody is getting transitioned, preschool, then it's going to be open and notorious who's a boy and who's a girl. It doesn't require a lot of investigative work, does it? So that's number one. That's just crazy talk. But they don't have an argument on the merits. And they've been sort of searching around for one. They don't have an argument on the merits, so they try to say there's no evidence that boys have an innate advantage, strength and so forth, innate advantage over girls in sports. So, and then they're like, well, nobody's really buying that, so we got to go somewhere else. So we can't ask the question that some of these trans activists ask, which is, do you believe a boy acting like a girl is the same thing as a girl? They say yes. I say no. Most people say no. So they're not winning that. So now they have to go to boogeyman politics. What's really going on here is you're invading the space and you're picking on these vulnerable kids. And it's actually quite ghoulish and sick. And you want to have genital inspections and so forth. Crazy talk. But they're used to getting away with demonizing people that, in Chicago or in Illinois, a lot of people are otherwise disinclined to agree with on other topics. And so maybe we can, sort of buffalo them into our camp because they're not going to agree with Proft on other things. So they certainly don't want to agree with them on boys playing girls sports. That's what she's doing.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could text us too. So if you even ask or, give a position on something that they don't like, then you're obsessed with genitalia. See
yeah,
how
of
she's trying to
course,
flip
right? Because they have to. Yeah, they have to make you the creepy one.
Right.
I'm not the creepy one. You're the creepy one.
I have perverse obsessions.
Right. The people that talk about minor, that use the term minor attracted persons, they're not creepy ones. You're the creepy one because you're getting into somebody's personal business and relationships. Yeah, I am. I'm getting into people's personal business if they try to exploit children sexually. Yeah, I think we as a society have a responsibility to do that. It's funny because you agree with us when it comes to like the Catholic Church and priests sexually abusing children, but not in the government schools, not sort of in anywhere else, private relationships that are not under the cover of the church. I mean, it's just bizarre because it's all disingenuous.
And I don't believe her when she said there's only 3 trans students or trans student athletes in the state of Illinois. Do not believe her. I know of 2 in the Chicago area. Yeah, I haven't even started digging. That's just from casual observances.
I'm sure you're right, but that's not whether it's 3 or 7 or 10 or it doesn't matter. That's not the issue. I mean, the issue isn't the number. The issue is the standard. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's sort of like talking about voter fraud. Well, there's only a few. We had a few votes that were frauded. Well, that's a problem.
It's only
because
a few apartment
means
complexes.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's like because that could have taken away my franchise. You illegitimately took away my franchise by counting a vote that shouldn't have been counted. So how many is okay? 0 is okay. Now I know that there'll be incidents and mistakes and so on and so forth. Nothing's perfect, but the standard has to be set that this is not okay. And it's the same thing here. One boy takes away an opportunity for participation or more, success and scholarships and all that, more from a girl. That's not okay.
Well, what I don't get is over the weekend they had a lot of state championships for track and field. And in California, you had, the triple jumper and the long jumper. Yeah. Well, but I thought Governor Newsom was against men playing in women's sports. Why doesn't he do something about it if he really cares? Yeah, he's just another mouthpiece. I mean, he didn't do anything.
Well, of course, it's a rhetorical position. I mean, he's just doing 180s all over the place because he's a slimy,
right, but
soulless political hack. He's Patrick Bateman, of course. But here, we're not even getting that. I mean, here it's going to have to be, it looks like to me, it's going to have to be the approach that the administration is taking with the state of Maine. And I hope they do take that approach with Illinois.
And California.
On behalf of, some of the people here that some of the few remaining people here that are civilized. And as I said before, too, the numbers don't matter, not just because of the sort of the practicality of the meaning numbers don't matter if it's 1 or if it's 5 or 10, not just because of the practicality of depriving girls of opportunity in sports, but also because it's orienting everyone to, remember that word orientation, we talked about that at the beginning of the show, it's the word of the day. It orients people towards the lie that there's no difference between a boy acting like a girl and a girl. And I'm not going to participate in that. Mark in Oak Lawn.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Hi, Amy. That Illinois High School Association, they're basically minions of the government. They have no grit at all. They just go along to get along, and they want their job and their check. And who I'd like to hear have a voice are some of the Catholic schools. I'd like to hear them step up and say something, but they probably won't.
No.
And I'll tell you, it's just that Kelly Cassidy. She has no credibility. She's probably never played sports in her life. She's too busy looking at women. It's just sad that it's come to this. And the young girls who work so hard to play sports lose out on scholarship money. And if you've ever played sports, you develop love of the game, and it just crushes people to have this type of rule. I'm just upset about it.
Thanks for the call. Well, and even if you don't go on to scholarships or fame and glory like Amy, it's still the lessons you learn by participating in team sports. Everybody knows this. And then to have, one of the lessons you'll learn is inclusiveness, Dan, if you allow boys to play. No, you won't. It's inherently divisive. You're forcing girls to, again, participate in a lie, participate in a fraud. Those aren't the lessons. I mean, the one of the lessons you learn in sports is not to cheat. Well, what is this? Rick in Downers Grove.
Hey, good morning. Hey, it sounds to me like she's digging down into her intellect and came up with the classic fallback argument, I'm rubber, you're glue.
Yeah, right.
You know that.
Yeah. I think I could finish that. Yeah, thanks for the call, Rick. Yeah, but that's the intellectual heft you're dealing with. So you have to come up with these increasingly absurd accusations to deflect attention from the infirmity of the case that you're making. 100%. Well, there's your General Assembly for you. Another great moment in Illinois state-level politics. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Prescription products require completion of an online medication consultation with an independent healthcare provider through the LifeMD platform and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Individual results may vary. Additional restrictions apply at lifemd.com. Read all warnings before using GLP-1s. Side effects may include a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors. Do not use GLP-1s if you or your family have a history of thyroid cancer.
Should GLP-1 weight loss medication like Wegovy and Zepbound cost hundreds of dollars? We don't think so. TryLifeMD.com helps provide insurance access to the leading GLP-1 medications. Visit TryLifeMD.com and check your eligibility for GLP-1 medication with copays as low as $0. Listen to Tara's story after losing 42 pounds.
You just take your shot. It doesn't feel like you're on a diet. What I wasn't expecting it to do was to shut off the food noise. I've gone from 237 to 195. This was life-altering, and if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
Get started right now and check your eligibility for GLP-1 medication with copays as low as $0 at TryLifeMD.com. That's TryLifeMD.com.
Are you an administrator, staff member, or parent volunteer at a private school? Would you like to grow your current enrollment and welcome new families to your school? If so, we want to tell you about a great opportunity to help increase enrollment and promote your school to families all across Chicagoland. It's called ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. They work to connect private schools with new families who are looking for discounted first-year tuition. In exchange, your school will receive a marketing campaign to help grow your enrollment. Chicagoland School Vouchers does all the work to bring new families together with your school and help you expand your reach. They've been working with schools across Chicagoland for over a decade. As the demand for school choice grows here in Illinois, your private school needs to take advantage of this program. To learn more, just visit ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com. That's ChicagolandSchoolVouchers.com.
As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets. Any size and any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and cow kings. Any size and any color, just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 800-489-0201. Use promo code LIBERTY or go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code LIBERTY for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dreams sheets, any size and any color. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
2815 Old Jacksonville, Springfield. CordellCordell.com.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. Trustandwill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/radio.
AM 560, The Answer.
That sound means it's time for our weekly installment of In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, who, by the way, made a star turn at Cigar Night 1.0 last week. Very much the hit.
Great.
There's nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know, and Frank does, so let's hear from Frank.
Good morning. Well before Chris Matthews spelled thrills going up his leg, his hardball political show was actually pretty good. And as 1999 gave way to the new millennium, one big question was who would win Time Magazine's Person of the Century. Matthews was pretty convinced it would be Winston Churchill. The Time chose Albert Einstein due to his theory of relativity being foundational to much of the 20th century. But the better pick may have been John Maynard Keynes, because it is his ideas that are truly unbreakable. There's always some new idea in astrophysics. One might prove Einstein wrong someday. But in macroecon, there is nothing new, just rehashed Keynesianism. Since the Depression, the notion that a government should spend more money when downturns occur has been sacrosanct. But this is so ingrained now that the state of the economy has no influence whatsoever on the always growing government expenditures. Mighty Elon's promised $2 trillion in cuts first got halved, and then sliced and diced to a mere $150 billion. In the end, it'll be much, much less, if anything at all, due to Congress doing what the population wants, which is philosophical conservatism, but operational liberalism. Another nostrum of Keynesianism is borrowing now to finance current spending, since in Keynes's words, in the long run, we're all dead. Our Federal Reserve has complied, providing the at times negative interest rates that fueled our bloat. From the tech bubble of the late 90s to the housing boom which ended in disaster, this creature of Jekyll Island was created in 1913 to prevent financial panics that has unquestionably caused them, including the biggest bubble of them all in U.S. government debt. Ludwig von Mises, Austrian economist and mentor to Friedrich von Hayek and therefore long-lost uncle to Dan's dog, once said, "There is no means of avoiding the final collapse of a boom brought about by credit expansion." If he is right, our country has a rude awakening in store for it, and that right soon.
Yeah, very good, Frank. And Hayek appreciates the reference. I'll pass on the word.
Very good.
I mean, and to my mind, you've got basically two people talking about this in loud tones. That's Ron Johnson and Rand Paul.
And Massey, too, I think, in Kentucky. But, outside of that, nobody. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the whole in the long run we're all dead. I mean to me there needs to be the moral piece of this case needs to be made more often, which is to say, and Ron Johnson did over the weekend with Tapper, which is to say that we're breaking the social compact between our ancestors and our progeny, and you really want to better or worse off because that's what you're doing.
Well, it's interesting. John Tamnia, an economist I respect, seems to think it's no problem. Because I saw his article last week talking about how investors are lending and they're pretty good about knowing when they're going to get paid back. So he doesn't think it's a problem. But just from a cash flow perspective, it's over $1 trillion in interest now, or very close to it. And they have to refinance something like $9 trillion within the next year.
It's a problem, and it is 7 a.m. AM 560 WIND.
They got three more. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. And the escaped prisoners were captured far away from the New Orleans jail they and 7 others broke out of a week and a half ago. One was caught in Baton Rouge, Louisiana yesterday. The other 2 in Walker County, Texas.
A manhunt still underway for the final 2 remaining escapees. Derek Groves, convicted of multiple murders and was awaiting sentencing before the prison break. And Antoine Massey, charged with domestic abuse and car theft. Another alleged accomplice also arrested yesterday, accused of assisting Massey after the escape. That brings the total total number of alleged accomplices all the way up to 13.
Fox's Todd Pyro. In Philadelphia, there's a search for multiple gunmen who shot into a crowd of people last night. 2 were killed, 9 others injured. In Fort Lauderdale, Florida, a boat blew up last night, injuring 11 people, including children.
U.S. Coast Guard officials say there were 13 people on board when the explosion happened, and surveillance video shows the incident, followed by multiple people being tossed into the water. Fort Lauderdale fire rescue officials say Good Samaritans rushed to help the injured, several of whom had significant burns. Investigators are looking into what caused the explosion.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Russia's taking control of 4 more border villages in Ukraine after a weekend bombardment that led President Trump to call Russia's leader crazy.
The Wall Street Journal reports President Trump is eyeing sanctions against Russia this week.
Fox's Madeline Rivera.
On Capitol Hill, pressure is growing for President Trump to take tougher action against Russia, especially after it launched its largest drone and missile attack against Ukraine over the weekend. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley wrote on X, "I've had enough of Putin killing innocent people. President Trump take action, at least sanctions."
Billie Eilish, the big winner at the American Music Awards, which are voted on by fans.
This means the world to me. I am just so lucky to get to do what I do and to do it with you. I love you all so much.
I was on CBS through Dick Clark Productions. Eilish won the award in all 7 categories she was nominated. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 56 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. One person's in custody following a stabbing in Chicago's South Loop. Police say a 35-year-old man got into a fight with a 65-year-old man Sunday night in the 500 block of West Roosevelt Road. The older man pulled out a sharp object and stabbed the other man in the left arm and in the back. The victim was hospitalized in fair condition. Detectives are investigating. An investigation is underway to figure out the cause of a swamp fire in Antioch. Crews responded yesterday to the 26,000 block of West Oak Avenue, where they found the blaze in a swamp directly behind a trailer park. The fire took several hours to extinguish. No injuries were reported. Some trailers sustained some minor damage. The city of Chicago is a popular summer travel destination. The city ranks 5th in the U.S. survey conducted by TripAdvisor. The Windy City only trails Las Vegas, New York, Myrtle Beach, and Ocean City, Maryland. The data was obtained from travelers who intended to travel within the U.S. between June 1st and October 31st. And a man is accused of firing shots up through a sewer grate at a downtown CTA Red Line station. Police say the suspect entered a restricted area of the Monroe CTA Red Line station yesterday morning, pulled out a gun, and fired shots upward towards the sidewalk of State Street. No one was hit by gunfire. Officers arrested the suspect and recovered a gun. Charges are pending. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
This is a special alert during this window replacement season. Don't get tricked by the cheapest offers and gimmicky ads. Now's the time to see and feel the difference of high-performance windows from Valdecas.
When it's time to consider new windows, siding, and doors for your home, you need to look no further. Sebastian Gorka here to tell you about Valdecas. Valdecas has been the trusted name chosen by thousands of homeowners, and they should be your number one choice too. But what's really behind the name Valdecas? Over 25 years of a team dedicated to providing you with the best customer service experience and products that truly bring value to your home. They are a Pella Platinum Elite Status certified contractor for a reason. They have an A+ rating with the BBB, as well as high ratings and positive reviews on both Google and Houzz. Schedule your free in-house consultation at Valdecas.com.
Ask about their exclusive manufacturer warranties and their 10-year workmanship guarantee.
Don't wait. Book today at Valdecas.com. For the best in class, it's Valdecas.
From the Team Hawkburg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, about 16 minutes. We do have an entrance ramp that's closed due to an accident. That's going to be US 41 southbound, the on-ramp from eastbound Lake Cook Road. Just keep that in mind. Outbound, 15 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burned Interchange, 22 minutes. Outbound, 26 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 19 minutes. Outbound, 20 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 23 minutes. Outbound, 20 minutes. Traffic is a service of Turnkey. Turnkey is the key to cyber protection. For a limited time, Turnkey is offering all new customers their first month of service free, including Microsoft licensing, antivirus, anti-malware, data backup, plus 24/7 help desk support. Visit turnkey.pro today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Cloudy skies, breezy this afternoon, a passing shower and a high 67. Cloudy with a brief shower tonight, low 54. Rain and cooler tomorrow, the high 63. Mostly cloudy, couple of brief showers around on Thursday, high 69. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Things don't seem to be improving in terms of the prospects for peace in Eastern Europe. Over the weekend, Putin launching his largest ever drone and missile attack on Ukraine. More than 350 explosive drones targeting Ukrainian cities over the weekend, to which Trump responded thusly.
Yeah, I'll give you an update. I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
Mr. President, what do you want to do about that?
I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. We'll see what we're going to do. What am I going to tell you? You're the fake news, aren't you? You're totally fake. All right, any other questions? I don't like what Putin is doing, not even a little bit. He's killing people. And something happened to this guy, and I don't like it.
Okay, well, he's been killing people for a long time. I don't know that anything happened to him other than he thinks that perhaps America and the West are so desperate for peace that and unwilling to do anything to pressure him to peace that he can get more aggressive, because that's clearly what he's done. And maybe if he's more aggressive, then he'll get more out of any sort of peace deal that could be in the offing. But he's killing people, and I'm very surprised because why? Because you thought you had a personal kinship with him, and so because you're friendly, that he's going to do your bidding rather than his own? Seems a little naive. Ian Williams is a former foreign correspondent for the BBC Channel 4 News and NBC, also author of Vampire State, The Rise and Fall of the Chinese Economy. Ian Williams, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan.
Putin is not particularly impressed, it would seem, with the carrot and stick routine that the West, America and Europe in particular, are playing, it would seem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any intention from Putin to take this peace process seriously. I think he's strung along Trump right from the start. I don't think he's had any intention of meaningfully engaging on this. His maximalist demands, which is effectively the dismantling of the Ukrainian state, the installation of a puppet government, remain exactly as they have been. And it's incredible that it has taken this long for Trump to apparently realize that Putin is stringing him along and simply not taking this seriously. And I guess the frustration in Kiev is that if Trump had been anywhere near as tough with Putin as he has tried to be with Zelensky, then perhaps there might have been a little bit of progress had he put some pressure on Putin to seriously engage in this. And you do wonder now where it's going to go. Does Trump step up with sanctions, with an increase in support for Ukraine? We've seen the lifting of restrictions on the range of weapons that can be fired into Russia, or will he simply walk away? It's a difficult dilemma right now.
Well, I mean, to be fair to Trump, he also said prior to this drone attack over the weekend, said last week, basically the reporting was that he sent the message to the EU, you're going to have to ratchet it up because whatever you're doing is not working. And part of why it's not working is because, on the one hand, there's a lot of saber rattling from Western Europe. On the other hand, there's a lot of business dealing between Western Europe and Russia.
There is, and I think oil is the big one here. I think a lot of countries have not done everything they can do in terms of sanctioning Russia, and sanctioning Russia where it really hurts, which is on raw materials, which is on oil. And I think there are a number of states in Europe that have wanted to have it both ways, yet they've been there with the rhetoric, they've been on the train to Kiev, they've stood shoulder to shoulder with Zelensky, and they've made the right noises, and they've criticized Trump, of course, but they haven't stepped up economically to the extent they could and they should. So, I think we're reaching an inflection point here where a lot of people are going to have to take things a lot more seriously than they have until now.
And so, I mean, do you have any sense of, because, Keir Starmer in the UK has made noise about willingness to send, quote unquote, peacekeeping troops and, at least rhetorically offering more support. But I mean, is anybody in Western Europe, Macron or Sturmer in particular, going to take the lead here and do something material that is beyond just sort of voicing open-ended possible support at some point in the indeterminate future?
I think that's the key question, and that's the dilemma. I think initially it seemed like Starmer was standing up, that he gathered other leaders. The talk was of standing together, of a European-led initiative to put troops even into Ukraine. But I think that as the weeks have gone by, they've progressively stepped back from that, and what had appeared initially as a stabilization force, as a force that would be there, if only symbolically, to try and keep the peace in Ukraine, has been somewhat watered down. And certainly here in London, there's a lot of skepticism about the ability of Starmer to live up to the early rhetoric which he had, and to actually deliver with with troops. I mean, the British economy at the moment is under a lot of strain. Yes, there's a promise to increase defence spending to 2.5% of GDP, but the British Armed Forces are very thinly spread, and there's some scepticism even about the ability to field a force that would be meaningful and certainly which would be taken seriously by Putin.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that Putin is reading the West right, which is there's really no appetite for certainly deployment of troops. There is, and I'm sure he gets the sense of where public opinion is in places like the UK and the US as well on this. And there's barely any appetite to provide more support for Ukraine in terms of munitions. And so why shouldn't I continue to press my advantage? I mean, from his perspective as somebody who invaded Ukraine, I mean, I did this for a reason, and I've spent 1 million lives. Why not be maximalist in my approach?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the economy in Russia is coming under much more pressure. There was, that period when it seemed to defy all expectations, when they maintained fairly high rates of growth, when enormous amounts of public spending, particularly on the military, seep through to the economy in Russia. And it seemed that they were pretty well defying all the pressure that was put on them. I do get the sense now that economically things are starting to bite in Russia. And you do have to ask yourself how much they can sustain the sort of attrition that we're seeing, both in terms of the losses on the battlefield, in terms of troops, in terms of equipment. But he certainly thinks that he can go for the maximalist position, that he can outlast the Europeans, and he can see off any pressure from the United States. And I think we are in a critical stage now that for all the rhetoric we've seen, particularly from European leaders, that they really need to step up and demonstrate that they are willing to put some muscle behind the words that they've been using. And I do think that unless Europe is seen to be leading the way on this and is seen to be showing a little bit more determination in actual practical ways, then I don't see Trump simply following through and saying, look, I'll provide a backstop for you. I think any backstop depends entirely on Europe stepping up.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems to me he's trying to give Europe more latitude to do exactly that. I think the two, although I don't know, but it seems to me the two are connected. And when I say the two, I mean his announcement that he's pushing back the tariff deadline on the European Union from June 1st to July 9th to give negotiators more time to try to cut a deal to avert the imposition of those tariffs. And it seems to me, okay, look, I'm not going to further hamstring your economies. But number one, we have to get a deal done. But I want to get a deal done. And number two, I want you to take the lead in Eastern Europe and help me figure out this Ukraine thing.
I think so. And I think there are a lot of these sort of subtexts now in these trade deals. I mean, I see this very much as sort of the next stage of the trade war, if you like, that Trump is looking for other concessions in other policy areas, almost as the price for continuing business as normal with the U.S. We're seeing this with China, and I think we'll see it also with Russia, that he's expecting Europe to really follow through with the rhetoric. It's all very well saying we're at one with Zelensky. It's all very well getting on the train to Kiev on a regular basis. But we really have to see this followed through with sanctions, particularly where there are countries who are not pulling their weight, which are still supporting the Russian economy with the purchase of oil and gas, and with Europe meaningfully spelling out what it's prepared to do militarily as a stopgap force, as a force to help police any ceasefire if it comes along. I don't think that this is unreasonable, and I don't think it's seen that way by realists in Europe.
Well, and to your point about sort of the next phase of the trade war, and one of the other aspects of Trump's policy vision that's being served by providing more time to the EU to get a deal done is trying to isolate China, right? You wrote about this, that, sort of implicit in these deals, that the frameworks that have been announced for deals like with the UK is to cease doing business with China.
I think that's right, Dan. I think this is very much the next phase of the trade war. In a sense, what we saw before was there was a lot of noise, a lot of fury, but the ultimate aim of trying to reduce dependencies on China, to try and reorder sensitive supply chains, to block China from access to critical technologies, I think remains the underlying aim. And I think the UK-US draft trade deal was very instructive because it contained security provisions, it contained language about countering dumping, subsidies, non-market practices. And we're also seeing that language now being introduced in Brussels as part of this discussion for a new trade pact. We saw it in the foreign ministers' G7 communique in France just a few days ago, that they are now embracing some of these concepts. And I think that it will be fundamental to striking these future trade deals. It'll be very much the message will be the price of doing business is to keep with the US is to keep China at bay. And I think China recognizes this, which is a reason why they've reacted so angrily, because in a sense, this is in the medium term much more damaging for them than the trade war, which in many ways they benefited from because they could parade themselves as being somehow bastions of free trade, victims, which of course is complete nonsense when you look at China's policies over recent years. But I think what worries them far more is this concerted effort to bring allies and other trade partners on board with an agenda which says, look, we've got to reorder sensitive supply chains away from China. We've got to look at technology more closely. We've got to look at non-market practices, subsidies, dumping, overproduction. And I think that increasingly people are coming around to this way of thinking. They already were in many respects. It's already been high on the European agenda. But sometimes, especially when you're dealing with Brussels, you do need sometimes a bit of a kick to focus minds.
Well, what about President Trump making this declarative statement last week or the week before, I believe, that all Apple iPhones should be manufactured in the United States?
That was intriguing for me, Amy, because I mean, it does show in a sense the difference. I mean, tariffs are very crude. It's an extraordinarily crude weapon, and iPhones are assembled from multiple parts and components which come from all over the world. A lot of the value in an iPhone is already produced in the US because of all the design that goes into chips, into other systems. A lot of the components come from elsewhere, and they're assembled in China, yes, but that's only a small part of their value. And I think that the iPhone supply chain is immensely complicated, and the notion that we can just sort of stick 25% on the price of an import really doesn't go anywhere near grasping that complexity.
But to me, that statement was part of this macro game that Trump is playing with the Chinese Communist Party, because the initial imposition of tariffs, and you got Tim Cook running to the White House, and then they get a special waiver and they get more time to deal with their supply chain, right? So it's very much like what you were talking about with these riders, sort of de facto riders, even though we're still in the framework stage of these deals that says don't do business with China, or implications to that effect. This is a way to enforce a sense of urgency with the Chinese Communist Party to get a deal done that is to Trump's liking. Because, of course, remember, we're talking about this against the backdrop of Besant's announcement after the meeting in Switzerland that we have a framework. But this is the way to enforce getting from a framework to a deal, is to continue to put pressure on the regime, making statements like that about Apple, continuing to push these riders in potential deals with the EU and the UK and other trading partners. You have to have this enforcement mechanism so that the Chinese Communist Party can't slow walk the administration.
I think that's right, and it's all about wrong footing your opponents or wrong footing even your allies and your trading partners. It's even if it only for a moment concentrates Tim Cook's mind in terms of where he's going to put a future plant or a future factory, perhaps not to do the entire manufacturing process because that's realistic, but also sending a message to China, to the Chinese Communist Party, that, hey, wait a minute, for all this basking, as you have seen in Beijing, the nationalists declaring victory in the trade war, the message is, hang on a minute, this is about far more than tariff. This is about a fundamental reordering of supply chains, and there is a lot more to this. I think as well that there's a sense that China is overplaying its hand because, yes, it's true that Trump to some extent has been hemorrhaging trust among trading partners and others, but China never had much trust in the first place. And the notion that it can easily leverage and take advantage of what Trump is doing, I think is very short-sighted. And you're seeing this a lot in Southeast Asia, in the global south, as it's frequently called now, that, yes, they're confused, they're wrong-footed, they're trying to figure out how they can do a deal with Trump, but they're certainly not rushing to embrace China because, they've had plenty of experience of Chinese coercion over the years and rule-breaking and quite ugly nationalism. And so it's quite interesting the way all these messages are played and the way the messages are received and the sort of impact it's having on geopolitics, which I think is much more complex than perhaps we'd fully appreciate when we just concentrate too much on the rhetoric coming from Trump.
Ian Williams is a former foreign correspondent for BBC Channel 4 News and NBC, author of Vampire State, The Rise and Fall of the Chinese Economy. Ian, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
A pleasure.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets. Any size and any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and cow kings. Any size and any color, just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 800-489-0201. Use promo code LIBERTY or go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code LIBERTY for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dreams sheets, any size and any color. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
I got to tell you, I love it. Peace of mind. There's nothing like it. And I get that with Goldilocks Security. Goldilocks state-of-the-art smart home security systems doesn't just record crime, it prevents it. How? Well, with Goldilocks real-time monitoring, the police are notified immediately and every second counts. If someone broke into your home tonight, would you have time to react? Goldilocks has given me and my family much-needed peace of mind. They also offer commercial security systems for any size business. Goldilocks has hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and has served the Chicagoland area and Chicago since 1981. Here's what you do. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months of monitoring for free with any new install. When they come over to your house, you can ask them, why are you called Goldilocks Security? You must really like blondes? Well, there's a story behind it, but you have to call them to find out what it is. The number to call to schedule your free consultation is 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Again, 708-889-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
7:37, our weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, President Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related.
And later, first cocaine on a train, and now his wife smashes his face. We'll talk about it. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 48 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. President Trump is pardoning a former Virginia sheriff convicted of federal bribery charges.
Former Culpeper County Sheriff Scott Jenkins was found guilty in December and was to begin serving a 10-year prison sentence Tuesday. Trump wrote on Truth Social that he was granting an unconditional pardon to Jenkins. The president added Jenkins and his family have been, quote, dragged through hell by a corrupt and weaponized Biden DOJ. Jenkins was found guilty of taking more than $75,000 in bribes in exchange for appointing several businessmen as auxiliary deputy sheriffs within his department. I'm Chris Coraggio.
In honor of this week's Scripps National Spelling Bee, a new study is revealing the most misspelled words in America.
The company Word Unscrambler used Google search data to determine the most misspelled words. Here they are. Nationally, the top 5 most misspelled words are definitely, separate, necessary, believe, and through. I'm Mark Mayfield.
News is a service of Anthony DeGrotto, your local State Farm agent. Combine home, auto, and life insurance. Anthony DeGrotto and his team will do the work for you. Visit DeGrottoSF.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Always has the biggest guests.
I've seen you talk about Trump derangement syndrome and do so with humor, but it's getting worse. What is it about you that deranges them so much?
Well, I win. You know, they were losing for so long. They're losers. But I win. And when I win, it drives people crazy, and I win a lot.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. Front and center in the Wall Street Journal was an article titled, America's College Towns Go From Boom to Bust. To highlight the bust, attributed to declining enrollment, a decline long projected, and the impact of such decline, the Wall Street Journal featured Western Illinois University and the town of Macomb. The article noted the empty dorms and frat houses and resulting loss of business, as Western Illinois has lost nearly half its student population over the last 14 years. The writers also noted the poor maintenance of the grounds and that layoffs and attrition have shrunk campus employment by 38% in the past 11 years. Then the authors had the audacity to mention the 2-year budget stalemate, a power move by Mike Madigan to hobble Rauner and get weak Republicans to vote for a tax increase, was part of the problem. That rings hollow, considering enrollment at the University of Illinois is up 36% in that same time frame. Not mentioned is that Western Illinois University and its siblings EIU and SIUE have the highest tuition and fees in their conference, with the exception of one private institution. Also not mentioned is that Illinois is number one by a long shot in state support to higher education at nearly $23,000 per full-time equivalent student, roughly twice the U.S. average. So lack of state funding is not the issue. The truth is, Illinois universities have not been cost conscious for a long time, have ignored the trend of fewer children being born and matriculating to college, necessitating consolidation, and that better and more affordable options are available outside the state. Also noted in the story is the one bright spot on campus, a $100 million plus performing arts center being built with state funds. Now you know the rest of the story. I'm Jeannie Ives. Join me on The Real Story, Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find it in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or Amazon, or newnordicusa.com.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 19 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 28 minutes. Outbound, 45 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 32 minutes. Outbound, 27 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 31 minutes. Outbound is about 20 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 19 minutes. This report is sponsored by Discover. Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts you're stuck in the past. Based on February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Cloudy skies, breezy afternoon, passing shower, and a high today 67. Clouds and a brief shower or two tonight, low 54. Rain and cool tomorrow, the high 63. And then clouds, a brief shower on Thursday with the high at 69. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly conversation with Ted Dabrowski, president of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Before we get to Ted, a good piece by a transit writer named Richard Day at a Substack entitled The City That Works, talking about quote-unquote affordable housing in Chicago and Illinois. Affordable housing, that's a euphemism for government housing. I mean, it's just, and this is against the backdrop of BLM Brandon's $1 billion fund to build government housing in places like the financial district to retrofit, for example, some of the vacant commercial space to be residential space. Housing projects, 2.0, 3.0.
Housing projects on LaSalle Street, yeah.
I mean, the numbers, honestly, this is such a boondoggle. And by the way, don't just put this on BLM Brandon. Triple Threat wanted to do the same thing. You've got a lot of support in the city council. You have a lot of suburban Chardonnay Antifa in places like the North Shore that support these boondoggles, because they're sentimentalists, not economists. The numbers. Wait till you hear these. Richard Day writing, when I started digging into the city's eye-watering costs to build new affordable housing, several in the know suggested comparing the city's cost to projects funded by the Illinois Housing Development Authority. The cost to build affordable housing in the city as of 2023, $747,000 per unit. This is such a boondoggle for slumlords and connected developers. And again, so understand something. People making, $75,000 a year, households making $75,000 a year, which is probably, I think, a little bit above the median in Illinois, and paying their own way, playing by the rules, paying their own freight, are subsidizing this at the city and the state level, because there's layers here. Let me just unpack this a bit, because Richard Day did a nice job of doing so. Thanks to a quirk of the low-income housing tax credit program, Chicago is one of only 2 cities that gets to award its own low-income housing tax credits. That means there are actually 2 entities awarding funding to build low-income housing in Chicago: the city's Department of Housing and the Illinois Housing Development Authority. If you compare the processes by which the 2 allocate tax credits, there's a few reasons to expect the state should do a better job controlling costs than the city, and it does, but not by much. The city's tax credit plan doesn't include any defined preference for lower cost projects. In fact, it doesn't include any clear scoring criteria at all. The city has this is Richard Day's characterization. The city has an insanely specific set of design requirements outlined in the Architectural Technical Standards Manual. The state's is similar and somewhat more flexible. State has a cap on hard construction costs of $398 per square foot, and a 10% higher cap for buildings with green building certifications. State-funded tax credit projects do end up costing less than city-funded ones, but between 2019 and 2023, the annual cost for new state-funded projects came in at $454,000, which is about 15% cheaper than the city's $519,000. Both numbers are ridiculous. Ridiculous. Yeah. This is the housing equivalent of middle-income people financing Tesla purchases by the wealthy. Except you're going down market instead of up market, but the middle-income family that playing by the rules and paying their own freight is getting squeezed from both sides. That's the point. And the way that this is done, the state level agency, more predictable scoring. Unfortunately, it still prioritizes things that drive up costs. 10% of points are awarded for extra. This is in terms of project submittals for tax credits, which is what you need to make this viable from the developer point of view. Not just viable, but actually quite profitable. 10% of points are awarded for extra accessibility features. 13% of points are awarded for additional energy efficiency criteria. 15% are awarded based on the makeup of the development team. Makeup of in other words, identity politics.
Exactly.
4% are headed out to nonprofit developers. Only 3% of scorecard points are awarded based on project costs. Of course not. It's other people's money. Sky's the limit. I mean, it's really something. And again, the city and the state are doing projects in the city. The state's doing it a little bit more efficiently. They're both doing it wildly inefficiently because it's centrally planned housing. 454 versus 519 over the last 4 years, with the 2023 year being $747,000 per unit. Ted, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me on.
So, I mean, you've looked at housing, these government housing proposals before, both, and the way these agencies operate. I mean, this is just another sort of below the fold fleecing of the people who play by the rules in this state that just doesn't get gets very little discussion because it's not in most people's neighborhoods, although that's increasingly not the case. And it's a little bit complicated. But, I mean, if you just look at the bottom line numbers and how these programs are administered, it's the typical identitarian boondoggle that we talk about in so many other aspects of government involvement in civic and commercial ventures.
Well, it really is. There's a lot of layers to it, and it is complex, but it's only complex because they've made it so.
Yeah.
When you think about, I mean, so the real goal of affordable housing is just not to have the housing that's so damn expensive that ordinary people, and low-income people can't afford it, and that's exactly what we have in places like Chicago. But the key thing is it has nothing to do with the identitarian politics as to why they don't have it. The big reason is because we don't rezone properly. We don't allow enough multifamily housing to be built. There's a lot of zoning restrictions. There's a lot of cost of building housing, and so you have limited housing growth in Illinois and in Chicago. And so that, of course, makes it unaffordable. So then you get the bureaucrats. This is where they come in. They have better ideas. They know better. And, they start putting in additional limitations or requirements, as you just read. I mean, those requirements for building affordable housing are crazy. And when you start adding in environmental cost and, choosing environmental requirements, and then you're having to choose and you limit which builders can work on things because of minority constraints and things like that. Suddenly you get the cost of balloon. And we wrote about that recently. You start getting projects, affordable housing that cost $800,000 per unit. That means that there's a big, massive loss for taxpayers when those things are rented out to people at much, much lower cost. So it's bastardized. And of course it's you got these politicians who have no idea, because this is complex. I mean, most people don't know about this stuff. You have politicians weighing in, and they create a mess, and that's exactly what we have.
And by the way, I mean, this is a bad idea everywhere it's tried, but as per usual, it is the worst idea when it's tried in Chicago, because when you look around the country in other metropolitan areas that are doing some of the same thing, it's bad, but they're still delivering at a lower price point in terms of taxpayer cost than Chicago and Illinois, which again speaks to, whatever bad idea is being practiced everywhere, it's practiced in the worst possible way, the most expensive way in Chicago.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that we wrote about this, I think it was last month, but we looked at the housing stock in Illinois. I don't think we looked at Chicago only, but if you look at the housing stock growth in the country, right? So again, in theory, we want more housing. More housing means lower cost, right? And if we block the amount of housing that's built, then it means higher cost. And in Illinois, we had the second worst increase in the last 4 years. We've had the second worst increase in housing stock. It barely grew. It grew less than 1%. And so, combine that with all the regulations you put in, and it destroys the ability of ordinary people, low-income people, to get good housing. And, they bastardize the process, and this is what you end up with. And like you say, Chicago just makes what's bad even worse.
I wanted to turn our attention to a recent look that you did on violent crime in Chicago, because violent crime dipped in April. And so Brandon Johnson, as he has said, knows what works, and they're doing what works, and it's working, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, finally, after we were lagging, we've been lagging the country, and I remember this exactly a year ago. We reported that violent crime had reached a record high midway through last year, midway through 2024. So while the rest of the country was experiencing great improvements, we weren't. Luckily, we've started to follow the national trend, and the national trend has been. I just went through this, going through the data just over the last couple of days. Massive drops across the country. You've seen some cities go back to 2014 murder levels, which is when we're hitting national lows. So that's where we were. And at the end of 2014, we were still above our 2019 levels. So we're finally this year now getting to below 2019 levels, and that's good. And what we wrote is that less bloodshed is good. It's less bloodshed, and that's good for Chicago. but we're still lagging the rest of the country, and we're not keeping up. And watch everybody try to take credit for this. As we said, success has many parents, but the reality is that we're lagging the national trend. And I'd say that most of what's happening is because we've moved further away from George Floyd. We've moved further away from COVID. The economy is much better. People are putting up with less stupid anti-crime stuff. So I think it's better overall. And, let's say it's good news for Chicago, but maybe not for the right reasons.
Well, I mean, Brandon Johnson was on 2 different cable stations this weekend celebrating this drop in crime. I mean, I heard him repeatedly. Crime is down 22%, but he claims that it's an investment in people is the reason why. What does that mean, Ted?
Well, that means a lot of grants
Midnight
being handed
basketball?
out, a lot of tax money being handed out to groups, and it's really hard for us to have any idea when that money goes out and it goes out to community groups to control violence. We have no idea what's really happening there. Is it just a boondoggle, or does it have any impact? And we have no ability to answer that question. But I'm of course very skeptical.
Right. It's never their fault when you see crime increase on their watch, and it's always their accomplishment when crime decreases. And you say, as you point out, sort of national trends in this direction, although Chicago continues to be a laggard. And maybe, and this is, sort of next level analysis, but we're starting, with each passing month, we're piling up more data. Maybe we need to do another stop, look, and listen with respect to the impact of the Safety Act. We had another story this week. Man who tried to kill Chicago cop during traffic stop was on felony pretrial release. We also have, this is perhaps subsiding somewhat, but the stories continue. Venezuelan migrant said to be high-ranking TDA, Tren de Aragua, charged with kidnapping 3 women who were shot in January. He's facing armed kidnapping charges, unlawful restraint following the abduction and shootings of 3 women in the South Shore in January of this year. So we're not seeing the same influx of who knows who from wherever, and you see some national trends that are having a positive impact, I guess you could say, with respect to violent crime in Chicago. But there are other sort of fundamental rules of the game with respect to our criminal justice system that perhaps explain why Chicago continues to be a laggard in terms of peace on the streets.
Yeah, it gets really hard. I have to tell you, this is a hard work to figure out what what is causation and what's not, and the trends and all that, and trying to keep up with it. But you're right. The story that really scared me was the Waukegan story of the young woman who overdosed, and the guy who was, I guess, allegedly responsible for that. Hid her in a garbage can for 51 days.
Yes.
And they didn't hold him in jail.
No, they let him go right away.
Yeah.
We had the Waukegan police chief on, or the deputy superintendent. I mean, it was ridiculous.
So
and you know why he did that, because he's, what I've been told by my sources, here illegally, and he didn't want to call police. He had her in the basement for a few days, and then she started, decomposing, and he put her in the garbage can like she's a piece of trash. And all along, her family waited 2 weeks desperately searching for her, and he could have just done the right thing and called 911. Yeah,
it's so painful. So I want to say that I'm kind of toughened by reading all this stuff, but when I read that one, it really hit home. And so it kind of ties back in. Here's what bottom line is for me. Even with all these great numbers, better crime numbers, right? Chicago has 141 murders this year through mid-May, and New York City, with triple the population, more than triple the population, has just 104. So 141 in Chicago, 104 in New York City, and 85 in Los Angeles. So it's you got to be careful how you celebrate, and that's why I say it's good that we have lower crime, because that means fewer people are being killed in Chicago. But we're still an outlier, and we still have problems. So the only real celebration should come when we actually catch up with other cities, when we're not the outlier, and then we lower our crime rates to those of like New York City and Los Angeles, and that's when we know we're doing things well.
Ted Dabrowski, President WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
The big focus in America now is your health, and you're determined to look beyond pills and steroids and surgery to feel your best, right? Well, I want to talk to the person who is in pain right now, or maybe it's someone you love. You've done everything they told you to do, but the pain just keeps coming back. You're exhausted, but don't give up. QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is different. These are not quick fixes. This is a revolutionary treatment that works to give your body long-term relief. You'll meet with medical director Dr. Ashley Caravelli and her team. They'll explain how their regenerative treatments take your body's own healing power and helps restore damaged tissue. Now, they've helped tens of thousands of people. No masking the pain. They're going after the very source of it. So say goodbye to chronic pain and live your best life. Find out if you're a candidate. Consultations are free, with appointments during the weekdays and on Saturdays. So contact my good friends at QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
So, what'd you call me over here to see, buddy?
Well, wait till you see the new set of wheels
Whoa, would you look at this garage floor? Wow, buddy, is this a new coating?
Well, yeah, but...
It's so smooth and shiny. It looks like a showroom in here. Wow, looks easy to keep nice and clean, too.
Yeah, it is, but...
Man, I've been thinking about getting a new coating. This is a sweet-looking garage floor.
You happen to notice my new Corvette?
Oh, huh. That's cool, too.
Level 10 Coatings, Chicagoland's premier concrete coatings company. We can improve the look of your garage, basement, office, or outdoor space with customized concrete coating solutions. As Chicagoland's only certified Cimarron installer, we're setting industry standards. Level 10 Coatings uses polyurea and polyaspartic coating, which is stronger than epoxy. Turn your ugly garage floor into a showroom floor this spring. Mention Amy Jacobson to receive $500 off any new project. Visit level10coatings.com to schedule today, or call 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Frondelmax Vex Delando.
Why are you dressed like a wizard?
Because the Brooklyn Cabinet at Penny Mustard reminds me of the hallowed halls of a faraway magical campus.
That curved top is pretty enchanting.
Curvalosa Wizamundo.
And with all the configurable options, you get to work your magic.
Configurabulus Maximus.
The bewitching Brooklyn Cabinet. American-made with locally sourced lumber and built to last for generations. Starting at $43.78 at Penny Mustard.
7 locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
How was your wedding, Dan? Not your wedding, the wedding you attended.
It was a little steamy.
Really?
A little hot out.
Did they read our favorite poem?
Yeah, love is patient, love is kind.
Yeah.
Actually, yes.
Oh, they did.
Yes.
Oh, I was.
But it was
it
was lovely otherwise. But yeah.
Okay. Did you bring anybody?
Yeah.
Were you even invited with somebody? That's when you know you're single. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, John Hindraker, 5 years after George Floyd in Minneapolis, as well as does the Democratic Party have a future? 8:08.
It's 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Will the U.S. hit Russia with new sanctions? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The Wall Street Journal reports President Trump could take action this week after calling Russian leader Vladimir Putin crazy over the weekend following a barrage of deadly attacks on Ukraine. And Russia has taken control of 4 more border villages while dismissing the Trump criticism.
We heard from a spokesperson from the Kremlin who says this is a very crucial moment, which is associated, of course, with the emotional overload of everyone, absolutely, and with emotional reactions. Now, the White House has said all options are on the table when it comes to getting peace, but it wants to see this war end as soon as possible.
Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House, where President Trump has pardoned a former sheriff.
Scott Jenkins was convicted of taking bribes in exchange for appointing businessmen as auxiliary sheriff's deputies. The former Culpeper County, Virginia sheriff was set to serve 10 years in prison, but President Trump says instead he will live a productive life. The president alleges Jenkins suffered from a weaponized justice system and was limited in the evidence he could present in court by a judge appointed by President Biden.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz, a former police chief turned convicted rapist and murderer, is on the run for a 3rd day in Arkansas, where Grant Hardin broke out of prison Sunday. While the manhunt for escapees who broke out of a Louisiana jail a week and a half ago is down to 2.
3 of the escaped inmates were captured last night. None of them were here in the city of New Orleans. Baton Rouge police arrested accused murderer Lenton Van Buren. A concerned citizen called police after spotting him on a bench. Meanwhile, Texas DPS arrested fugitives Jermaine Donald and Leo Tate in Walker County, Texas, after a high-speed chase north of Houston.
Fox's Nate Foy. 13 people have been arrested accused of either helping the 10 inmates break out or helping them on the run. In Philadelphia, police still searching for the gunman who shot up a crowd of people last night, killing 2, injuring 9. On Wall Street, a big stock market surge is brewing with rising futures. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 57 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. A teenage bicyclist is dead after colliding with an SUV in Chicago's Loop. Police say an 18-year-old was riding a bike early yesterday in the 100 block of North Michigan Avenue when friends say that he hit a GMC SUV going the opposite direction. The team was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. The driver of the SUV was cited and refused medical attention at the scene. Charges are pending following a stabbing on the near north side. Police say a man was walking down the sidewalk Sunday night in the 700 block of North State Street when he got into an argument with a man and 17-year-old girl. The 2 offenders began hitting the man, causing him to fall on the ground. The pair then stabbed the victim multiple times. The man was taken to the hospital in critical condition. The suspected attackers were arrested. A man is hospitalized after he fell into Lake Michigan while riding his bike on the south side. It happened Sunday afternoon in the 3900 block of Lakeshore Drive. The CPD Marine Unit rescued the 67-year-old man. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. And police are searching for a woman accused of trying to kidnap a child from the backyard on the west side. The incident allegedly happened on Sunday afternoon in the first block of North Lockwood Avenue. Authorities say the suspect grabbed a youngster before a relative confronted the suspect and brought the girl home to her mother. The woman is described as African American between the age of 20 and 25 and is still at large. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance? It's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are higher after President Trump delayed tariffs on European Union imports until July 9th. There's a merger in the mining business. Harmony Gold is buying New York-listed Mac Cooper in a deal worth more than $3 billion. Mac Cooper owns a copper mine in Australia. Auto parts seller AutoZone shares are down more than 0.5%, though it is reporting sales up more than 5% in the recent quarter. The company's says it is well prepared for its summer selling season. Coffee company Nespresso is changing up its message to appeal to younger coffee drinkers who want their drinks cold. The Wall Street Journal says Nespresso had been appealing to middle-aged sophistication with George Clooney. Its newest spokesperson is millennial pop star The Weeknd. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
Larry Elder here. More than 200 members of Congress are standing up for AM radio listeners. The AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act will keep AM radio in cars because when cell and internet services are down, this free service could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress to pass this critical legislation now. Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family owned, integrity since 1981.
If you're trying to get through your daily activities and you're noticing you can't because you're focusing more on your pain than being able to enjoy the moment, those are the patients that we're looking to treat because we can make a difference.
That's Dr. Ashley Caravelli, Chicago's medical director for QC Kinetics.
What we're doing at QC Kinetics is offering treatments that help with joint preservation. We use cutting-edge technology in our in-house lab to harness your body's natural healing powers and target the areas where you need them the most.
These are regenerative, non-surgical treatments, and QC Kinetics is the nation's leader, delivering lasting relief to tens of thousands of patients.
What we do know is that the sooner we start treatment, the sooner you'll see relief.
So don't wait another minute. See if you're a good candidate for these non-surgical treatments for joint pain. The consultation is completely free.
Weekend appointments available. Call now. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
From the Team Hopberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 19 minutes. Outbound, 20 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 37 minutes. Outbound, 44 minutes. That's due to an earlier accident between Madison and Lake. On a Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office, 37 minutes. Outbound, 44 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 36 minutes. Outbound is 27 minutes. Traffic is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. For over 52 years, Woodland has been transforming living spaces with Marvin windows featuring styles ranging from modern to traditional. Visit woodlandwindows.com to get started today. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Cloudy skies, breezy this afternoon, a passing shower and a high 67. Cloudy with a brief shower tonight, low 54. Rain and cooler tomorrow, the high 63. Mostly cloudy, couple of brief showers around on Thursday, high 69. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Amy, the left just can't seem to rid itself of its violent tendencies, can it? We had the assassination of those 2 Israeli embassy employees and a couple last week.
Sarah.
We find out that the alleged killer's father is a good friend of Illinois Congressman Chuy Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
Chuy had him at the Trump's address to the joint session of Congress.
Mm-hmm. That was his and 1+1.
Over the weekend, Seattle police arrested 23 Antifa goons who attacked a Christian worship event at a park. Boy, it's reminding me of the old heady days of autonomous zones in places like Seattle and Portland.
Chaz, was it called the Chaz Zone or
Yeah.
something? Yeah, that's where it was.
We had a U.S. citizen, dual citizen, U.S. German citizen, arrested for planning the firebombing of the U.S. Embassy branch office in Tel Aviv and also apparently making threats in the direction of President Trump. Boy, this is all after the apparent, Free Palestine-inspired murder of these 2 young Israeli embassy workers. You had University of Penn climate crank Michael Mann posting on Blue Sky. We want to talk about sort of a platform that incubates hatred and ignorance. Michael Mann reacting to a story about a federal judge enjoining the Trump actions in the direction of the Department of Education, saying of this federal judge's order, if Trump doesn't comply, we're in Second Amendment territory. Okay.
Oh,
The University of Penn climate crank is going to lead the armed revolution against the common sense counter revolution that is being perpetrated through policy by President Trump over the Department of Education's funding or the distribution of said funding. Second Amendment territory. I really don't think you want to play that game if, Professor Mann, among others. Elon Musk said something the other week at that Qatari Economic Forum that was sponsored by Bloomberg when it came to the violence that he has been subjected to, he and his business and his customers, if you're a Tesla owner, have been subjected to. And that there is a response coming, he believes, and he would be in a position to know.
I did what needed to be done. The violent antibody reaction, and I'm not someone who's ever committed violence, and yet massive violence was committed against my companies. Massive violence was threatened against me. Who are these people? Why would they do that? How wrong can they be? They're on the wrong side of history, and that's an evil thing to do. To go and damage some poor innocent person's car, to threaten to kill me. What's wrong with these people? I've not harmed anyone. So something needs to be done about them, and a number of them are going to prison, and they deserve it. And more will.
You're referring to the attacks on Tesla showrooms, but I think
bullets into showrooms and burning down cars is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Those people will go to prison, and the people that funded them and organized them will also go to prison. Don't worry.
But wouldn't you?
We're coming for you.
Wouldn't you?
We're coming for you, and he sort of pointed at the screen. If you know who you are, sort of thing. John Hindrakers, president of the Center of the American Experiment, contributor to Powerline, powerlineblog.com. John, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, great to be with you, Dan.
Well, it just seems appropriate since the left was having a candlelight vigils in places like Minneapolis to memorialize the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd's death that we talk a little bit about the left's penchant for violence in pursuit of their politics because, it spiked then, as we all know, and, it really continues unabated, taking different forms.
Well, it does, Dan, and you just had Elon Musk talking about violence directed against Tesla. You know, Hennepin County, which is the biggest county in Minnesota, includes Minneapolis and many suburbs, has a county attorney named Mary Moriarty, and she has basically declared open season on Teslas in Hennepin County. There was a guy, a state employee, in fact, who keyed and did massive damage to 6 Teslas over a 2-week period, did $21,000 worth of damage, and she refused to charge him criminally with anything. Simultaneously, she did charge a woman who keyed one car and did $6,000 worth of damage, but it wasn't the Tesla. So
you have to key the right car.
Oh, wow. She's basically saying to anybody who lives in Hennepin County, it is open season on Teslas. We've never seen this kind of lawlessness before.
What is Minneapolis like 5 years later? Because, we've seen pictures online, some before and after pictures, certain areas of Minneapolis that don't seem like they've fared better post George Floyd than pre George Floyd. But you're there, so you have an on the ground perspective.
So I was interviewed a week or two ago by somebody from public television in the area here, wanting to get my thoughts on Minneapolis 5 years after the George Floyd riots, and I told him what I thought, and he said they'd be sending a film crew around to my office to interview me on film for their story, but that never happened. Apparently my thoughts on what's happened in Minneapolis over the last 5 years didn't make the editorial cut. So the short answer to your question, Dan, is Minneapolis better? Yeah, it's better. It's better, but it hasn't remotely rebounded to what it was before the George Floyd riots. The 3rd Precinct Station House, which was ordered abandoned by the police, by the authorities, and then burned, destroyed by the rioters, has never been rebuilt. It's still this, it's surrounded by a chain wire fence. It stands there as a monument to criminal violence. And that part of the city, which is called Uptown, and Uptown's a little west of there, but right off Lake Street, has never come back. The stores are closed, the restaurants are closed. There's very little activity. Downtown Minneapolis, there's a nice new building in downtown Minneapolis, really in the heart of the city, that sold for $200 million in, I think it was 2017. And just recently, it sold for $6 million. 97% decline in value of commercial real estate because there's nobody there. Nobody wants to commute to downtown Minneapolis to go to work. So, riots like the ones that we experienced have really long-term consequences.
Well, how did people celebrate the 5th year anniversary of George Floyd in Minneapolis?
Good question. I can tell you this, I didn't celebrate it. I don't know. They still have this thing called George Floyd Square. You could drive by there and there's a memorial to this, lifelong criminal. And people who own businesses in the area have pleaded with the authorities to dismantle George Floyd Square and restore traffic patterns. And, they're all going broke. And so, it's a very tough situation.
Has there been any sort of general movement in terms of reflecting on all that transpired? And I'm talking about sort of the larger electorate's understanding of that and rethinking the approach to things like policing and law enforcement, with your Hennepin County State's Attorney and with Jacob Fry, I'm guessing not. But I just wonder, it's like, because we see the same psychosis in Chicago, right? People are basically dead from the neck up, we're just meandering about, bumping into each other. But any reconsideration about sort of like what is my understanding of what happened and what do I think is a sensible way forward to improve Minneapolis-St. Paul? Any of that happening?
Well, not much. The Minneapolis City Council is probably as far left as Seattle's or Portland's. I mean, it's terrible. Our chief of police, who's new, just recently was quoted publicly talking about these liberal attitudes in Minneapolis and how hard it makes it if you're working in law enforcement. The George Floyd riots were as devastating as they were in large part because Governor Tim Walz refused to call out the National Guard for days. And his wife, famously talked about leaving the windows open so she could smell the burning tires when the riots were going on. She thought it was the smell of freedom. It's great. And there's never been any kind of accounting for that, just like there's never been any accounting for the COVID shutdown. That was disastrous that Tim Walz ordered. And it's kind of ironic because in 2026, all the indications are that Tim Walz is going to run for a third term as governor. Notwithstanding that he was humiliated on the national stage, notwithstanding his disastrous handling of both COVID and the George Floyd riots. And I guess we'll find out, have people wised up at all.
And when Tim Walz, is out on the circuit, University of Minnesota Law School graduation of all things, and he refers to ICE as Gestapo, it has no impact on Tim Walz or his standing in Minnesota politics or among the electorate.
It doesn't seem like it does. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. People walk around and they look normal. They look like regular people. But as you say, from the neck up, there's something missing. And I guess 2026 may be the year when we find out. Are these chickens going to come home to roost, or are people just oblivious?
You wrote about the Democrat Party's future, in part riffing off a piece in the New York Times about what Democrats thought was their demographic destiny to have majorities for as long as time. That just has been inverted by President Trump. But it's very interesting to see what's happening. And actually, Jonathan Chait has a piece on it in The Atlantic. So it's always interesting to see what the scuttlebutt is on their side and how they're processing these things. Talking about the coming civil war within the Democrat Party between the sort of neo-Marxist base of the party and some that want to try to win elections again. And I just, sort of want to get your take on that. It's very, like I said, Minnesota, very similar to Illinois, although you're probably closer. At least you've got competition at the General Assembly or the state legislative level. We don't have that here. But, how you see this confrontation coming, since you've got, you've got some sensible people there, but you also have elevated Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar, much like we have crazies running Illinois.
Yeah, well, if there's a civil war in the Democratic Party, I feel sorry for the side that supposedly represents sanity, because I don't think they've got a lot of members.
Yeah.
People talk, for example, Dennis Prager would always talk about the difference between leftism and liberalism. And I understand the distinction. But for years I've been asking, well, where are the liberals? Where are the Democrats who are willing to condemn the violence, to condemn the extremism, to try to chart some kind of a sane course? I'm not seeing those allegedly moderate Democrats either at the state level or the federal level. I mean, people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi have done nothing to try to steer the Democratic Party in a better direction. So I don't know. I mean, I see a party here that is just driving toward the edge of the cliff and getting closer and closer. And as sane people jump out of the car, the ones in control are farther to the left than ever.
That's a really good point, the way that you said that, too, that there's no ability to condemn those who would rationalize, contextualize violence, for example. There's no ability of even those that are trying to separate themselves or trying to reinvent themselves, like Gavin Newsom, just go do complete 180s, Kamala style. They cannot bring themselves to condemn anything that their party has done or has stood for, terrible legislation or just elevating terrible people, doing terrible things. There's just sort of for that sliver that wants to win elections. It's more like we're just going to walk away. I don't want to talk about that anymore. I want to talk about this. Even from sort of the abundance agenda people, the liberal patriots like Rui Teixeira want to talk about making housing more affordable and walking back from some of the crazy environmental policies that they advance and banning of cars and so forth. But they can't separate themselves. They just have to sort of pivot. And it doesn't provide much moral clarity for the outside observer.
Well, it provides none. I'm sure you saw the video where Chuck Schumer is walking down the corridor in the Senate office building there, and a couple of people come up and start asking him questions and give him the opportunity to condemn the anti-Tesla violence, the firebombing of Tesla dealerships. And Schumer can't do it. He cannot bring himself to condemn that violence. And all he can do is to condemn Elon Musk. That was a revealing moment. I mean, I'm repeating myself, but I just don't see this allegedly moderate wing of the Democratic Party.
Well, and it's the same thing with the sort of general inability of anybody to mea culpa or condemn the fraud that was perpetrated that is now on full display as it pertains to the former President Biden's mental state and so forth. I mean, I don't want to talk about it anymore. We're going to move on. And so, I mean, everybody sees that.
And the poor man has prostate cancer, so let's quit talking about it.
Exactly. Right. Yes, exactly. Right. I mean, okay. I mean, you go ahead and try and sell that. John Hinderaker, President and Center of the American Experiment, contributor to PowerlineBlog.com. John, thanks as always.
Great to be with you, Dan. Have a good day.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance. And you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Welcome back to Ask Hassles.
Your showrooms are employee-free.
Give the mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy.
Why?
To save you money.
How much money?
Our 42 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393.
Well, that's pretty good.
And through Monday, purchase a select Beauty Rest or Silly Posturepedic mattress in any size and receive a free adjustable base. Plus, free next day delivery and free financing's available too.
I like the way you do business.
Find an employee-free Chicagoland showroom near you at Hassles.com.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
People ask us all the time, when's the best time to replace an old air conditioner? Simple. Before it breaks. Because when it does, you know it'll be the hottest day of the year, and suddenly you're scrambling like hundreds of others to get help during a heat wave. At Air Right Heating and Cooling, we've seen it all. We know there's never a good time to be without AC, especially in Chicagoland, where the humidity can make 80 degrees feel like 100. At Air Right, our experienced technicians don't just work fast, they'll do it right. Browse through our more than 1,500 5-star Google reviews to see what our loyal customers love most about us. If it's been a while since your system was inspected, don't wait for a heat wave before having it checked out. And right now, AM 560 listeners receive $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-developers of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Virago was formulated to boost your immune system to fight off the viruses that you encounter every day. I made Virago into a liquid formula to improve the absorption and to provide a rapid response for your immune system. Taking Virago every day helps your immune system fight off all types of daily assaults. Go to myvirago.com. That's myvirogo.com and receive 30% off using promo code IMMUNE. And remember, MAHA starts with Virago.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirogo.com.
And use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and MAHA, making America healthy again.
We always use M13. They can print anything.
They design and price match. M13 does amazing work.
M13 Graphics has helped make our brand stand out. They're definitely the best for less.
Before M13, amateur. With M13, we look awesome.
M13 Graphics, Chicago's leader in full-color design and printing. Set your business up for success with exceptional print products, turned around in just 24 to 48 hours. Business cards, postcards, posters, banners, brochures, apparel, you name it. M13 will design and print nearly anything for your business. They have the right people in place and a reputation that keeps customers happy and coming back for more. They're a Chicago company that embodies the idea of business integrity. They live it every day. After all, in this country, you're free to do business with who you choose. Respect that freedom. Choose the best. For speedy turnaround, excellent service, and the best pricing in Chicagoland, choose M13 Graphics for all your design and printing. Online at M13.com. Visit M13.com or call now, toll free, 877-M13-1913. That's 877-M13-1913.
AM 560.
The Answer. Dan and Amy, I did want to update our top story from last week.
Which one?
The top story. The possibility that the next Real Housewives would be the Real Housewives of Hinsdale.
So what do you got?
So the Real Housewives of Hinsdale did not make the cut. Reportedly, it's going to be the Real Housewives of Rhode Island.
Oh, boo.
But there's some scuttlebutt that the Real Housewives of Hinsdale, this gaggle of ladies that auditioned, like Trophy Wife for Life, it's her Instagram handle.
What's going to happen to Trophy Wife for Life?
They may do a YouTube series. They may do it themselves on YouTube.
Oh.
So
I'd love to see that.
So would I.
The trials and tribulations.
So I hope they do, and we'll be keeping our eyes peeled if we get a YouTube version of Real Housewives of Hinsdale before they hit it big. But maybe they hit it big on YouTube and they do even better than the Real Housewives on Bravo. I don't know.
All right. We'll keep you posted. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, our latest installment of Campus Beat. Is Donald Trump trying to destroy Harvard University? And should we care if he is? 8:38.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom once again. Here's Nikki Whaley.
Good morning. It's 57 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Millions of Americans are seeing credit scores crater from delinquent student loans.
An analysis by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows that credit scores dropped by more than 100 points for over 2 million delinquent student loan borrowers. Scores fell 150 points or more for more than 1 million in the first 3 months of 2025. It's similar to the sharp drop that follows a personal bankruptcy filing. Researchers said about 2 million of those previously had favorable credit scores and would have qualified for car loans, mortgages, or credit cards before the delinquencies were reported. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Humans could soon have the ability to see in the dark and with their eyes closed thanks to nanotechnology.
Scientists from China and the University of Massachusetts Chan Medical School have created contact lenses infused with special nanoparticles that let people see in the dark and in fog. The nanoparticles absorb infrared light and convert it into images the human eye can't usually see. The lenses have only been tested on a small group of people in China with normal vision. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher here. Don't risk losing the trusted news, traffic, sports, and weather you get from AM radio stations. It's time to make your voice heard. We need Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars. When internet and cell service is out, AM could be your only lifeline. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress to pass this critical legislation now. Text AM to 39179. Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 Golf Outing, presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responder and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Wednesday, June 18th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing campaign, which includes 25 one-minute commercials to air on AM 560 Monday through Friday between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., and a free digital marketing analysis. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Trump International Hotel and Tower Chicago, Suburban Welding and Steel, and by Monarch Technical Recruiting Services.
It's Reveille. Just a few days ago, parents stormed the Naperville 203 school board meeting to speak about a middle school transgender boy who was allowed to compete against girls in a track meet. Parents voiced their opposition to allowing the boy, who handily won against girls, to compete. Other parents spoke up and were adamant that transgender boys are girls and should be recognized as such. One mother even suggested that the girls need to learn to be disappointed and that losing will build resiliency. So, Naperville, have you had enough yet? It appears that people who had never spoken up about the district's woke agenda showed up to voice their opinion. Where were they 4 years ago when Naperville 203 paid a DEI consultant $175 per minute to criticize white people and tell teachers they weren't doing enough for minority students? The year before that, in the wake of the George Floyd riots, the Naperville mayor at the time kneeled in front of a BLM crowd, only to find that downtown businesses later that day were vandalized and robbed, likely by members of that crowd who were not residents. The question is, are Naperville residents now coming to an inflection point? Are people who just wanted to live in a peaceful city waking up to the fact that the cultural Marxists are in your schools and your school board is unwilling to do anything about it? Do they understand that until you vote these board members out of office, nothing will change? And in order to do that, are they willing to speak up more and get involved in the political process? The other solution is to hope this is an isolated incident your kid won't be affected by. But that would be ignoring the fact that your kid is probably subtly or overtly being groomed to accept trans ideology and DEI nonsense every day in school. So now what? I'm Jeannie Ives. Join me on The Real Story Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
From the Tim Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 17 minutes. Outbound, 24 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 36 minutes. On the outbound side, 29 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 36 minutes. Outbound, 31 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 31 minutes. Outbound, about 28 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 28 minutes. This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. If you're ready for a new job, let Express Employment Professionals help you. Express is already hiring for summer jobs in a variety of industries. Job seekers never pay a fee at Express. Go to ExpressPros.com to find your location. That's ExpressPros.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Cloudy skies, breezy afternoon, passing shower, and a high today 67. Clouds and a brief shower or two tonight, low 54. Rainy cool tomorrow, the high 63. And then clouds, a brief shower on Thursday with the high at 69. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Cause they got the beat, the campus beat, the campus beat. Yeah, the campus beat.
Dan and Amy, before we get to Harvard, we should address a member of the team who joins another member of the team who's got to start saving for college now. Justin is just back from his, our technical producer, just back from his paternity leave. And so tell us the story, the girl's name, all that jazz.
The girl's name?
Yeah.
His newborn child? Yes.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to spoil it. It's not for me to say. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the girl's name is Baby Serena. She's great, healthy. Came out a little small, 5'2". Now she's like 5'7".
But she was long, 19 inches or 20?
19 inches. Now she's 19.5.
Well, Shaquille O'Neal was 21 inches, so maybe you got a baller on your hands.
No, she's going to learn golf. I've already decided.
Yeah,
golf
exactly.
instead of dance.
Yeah, exactly. That's smart.
And maybe Uncle Dan can take her under his wing, show her the ropes.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of creepy, and I don't know why.
You were one of those we're pregnant couples, right?
I never said we're pregnant.
Okay, all right.
Oh, no, you did.
I just wanted to, because I just wanted to know how the delivery went. If you were both pregnant, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, no. How was the delivery?
That was rough. She wanted a natural birth, but ended up with a C-section. So,
It's
and what she's been on a morphine drip since, or what?
No. When it was bad. It was a rough time, but she's better. She's all better now. Everything's pretty much normal.
When does she go back to work?
She got another month.
Oh my gosh, you guys are I had my babies at the wrong time.
Well, that seems unfair. That seems like, why is she get another month? I mean, if there's such a thing as paternity leave, which apparently there is now, why don't you get the same amount of time?
I'm wondering the same.
Well, yeah, wait, how many weeks have you been off?
I was out for 3.
Okay, and she's going to be off for
10.
Yeah.
See, when I gave birth, you could only be gone for 4 weeks unless you use words like ripping, tearing, and then you got an extra 2 weeks off. But that was, that's not a long time at all. Because as soon as your baby starts getting a personality and starts responding, boom, you go back to work.
Some babies never develop a personality.
Dan, quit talking about yourself.
They go into politics.
Did you hear real quickly about the anchor who gave birth, or her water broke? She's an anchor in Albany, New York. And she went into labor. She was having contractions on air. Here it is.
Some breaking news this morning. Literally.
Yes.
Olivia's water has broke.
Oh my God.
And she is anchoring the news now in active labor.
Early labor.
We've been doing the contractions. She's now, timing her contractions.
We'll see. I'm going to pay attention.
2 minutes apart?
No. There was one, but it's been a few minutes since then, so we're still in good shape.
Her decision to stay on the desk, by the way.
Look at what it says. Days past due date.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I know. So we're thinking maybe
I'm
today.
happy to be here, and I'll stay on the desk for as long as I possibly can. But if I disappear...
We're so happy
That's
for
funny.
you. She's 2 days overdue, so...
Good grief. I mean, that was bad enough when Justin was doing his breathing exercises before he took paternity leave. All right. right.
Yeah, well,
very
she
good.
stayed until the end of the show, by the way, and then gave birth.
Yeah,
My
wonderful.
hero. These journalists are heroes, Dan.
Then, yes, it's an inspired story.
Yes.
All right, congratulations on baby Serena.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, all right, we'll get a.
And we're glad you're back. When are you going to bring her into the office?
Well, maybe soon. Maybe Friday.
Okay.
Friday.
Maybe.
Big fun Friday. Are you going to be in the office on Friday, Dan?
Let her, let baby Serena just, acclimate herself to this world for a minute, for goodness sakes, before imposing Jacobson on her. Good grief.
Oh my gosh, you think I won't have my baby voice? Like, hi, baby.
All right, we have to get to Harvard now.
Okay.
That's plenty baby talk. Harvard. Is Trump trying to destroy Harvard? Should we care? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. The Wall Street Journal opining that the move that Trump made last week and Kristi Noem did in Formation, that would push several thousand students out of Harvard that are foreign students, basically kicking them out of the foreign student visa program. Wall Street Journal opines it is a short-sighted attack on one of America's great competitive strengths, its ability to attract the world's best and brightest. There was a little bit of sleight of hand. By the way, this, of course, a federal district court judge has enjoined the elimination of Harvard's access to foreign student visas for the moment. But there's a little bit of sleight of hand in terms of how the Department of Homeland Security Secretary did it. But let's just sort of stay top level and just talk about Trump's approach to Harvard. The Wall Street Journal, again, giving you the criticism piece of it before we weigh in or allow you to, that this latest assault on Harvard, from their perspective, will be terribly damaging to America's ability to attract talented young people who bring their enterprise and intellectual capital to the U.S. The order will echo around the world as a signal the U.S. is no longer open to educate the world's brightest young people. Foreign students will get the message and take their talents elsewhere. Like most of U.S. higher education, Harvard needed a jolt to return to its mission of educating open minds, but that requires reform. The Trump administration seems to think it needs to destroy Harvard to save it, and that is the opposite of making America great. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Well, a Harvard grad named Bill Ackman has a very different take on what the Trump administration has demanded of Harvard to date, and the approach that Harvard President Alan Garber and the faculty and apparently the board of trustees, the approach that they've taken per those demands. Take a listen.
If you think about this as a business, it's a business where when I graduated from Harvard, there were 1,600 people in my class. And the business of Harvard is educating, that 1,600. Well, if you fast forward to today, the graduating class of 2024 had like 1,640 people in it. Okay, so the university grew 3% over 36 years. Can you tell me of any great business of which you are aware? By the way, that's not a 3% annual compound rate. That's a 3% rate. It's probably it's hard for me to do the math, but it's 0.0 something, 8% compounded annual growth over 40 years. So it's not, and think about the growth in the population over the period. Think about the percentage of foreign students that are going to Harvard now. So this institution, chartered, oldest corporation in America, to educate the future leaders of our country, is educating a tiny fraction of what it was chartered to do, kind of going back in time. And the federal funding to Harvard has continued to increase kind of over this sort of period of time. You've got a CEO who has very little control, i.e. the president, Alan Garber. He's got a workforce that he can't fire, tenure. He's got an endowment that has very little liquidity. And now he's just put himself in a horrible place vis-a-vis the administration, and he's at risk of losing the tax exemption. And so Harvard is in a very bad place. And what they should be doing is they should have immediately engage with President Trump. We know that his strategy, negotiating strategy, is to ask for, get the headlines with a crazy ask, and then he wants to make a deal. And they should have said, "You're right, President Trump. We're hiring AlixPartners, or a restructuring firm, and we're going to do a zero-based budget of what the administrative expense of Harvard should look like. We're going to restructure our organization. You're right. We've done a horrible job protecting students from hate and allowing pro-terrorist protesters to interfere with education, and we're going to stop it now, and we're going to enforce our code of conduct, which Harvard has not done. Your students, eliminate waste, and improve viewpoint diversity at the university. These were the principal asks, and they're entirely reasonable, and it needs to happen, and the university just completely shut it down. So you can argue with President Trump's negotiating strategy. You can say he's over the top, but he's fundamentally right in what he's asking for, and I think the taxpayers should only be funding universities that don't waste money, that have true viewpoint diversity, and create environments that are not anti-Semitic or hate-filled environments.
Yeah. So, I mean, the point that Ackman makes is the things that the Trump administration has been critical of as it pertains to Harvard are legitimate criticisms, and they should respond to those criticisms in a sensible way, particularly when they've conceded some of them. I mean, Alan Garber in that 60 Minutes interview a few weeks back conceded they have an anti-Semitism problem on campus. But rather, they've decided to dig in and play the martyr and enlist, establishment-oriented thinkers like those on the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal to offer this defense of Harvard, like, if Harvard should cease to exist tomorrow, that somehow the American higher educational system would collapse in on itself like a dying star. I guess that's my point. I suppose their point, if they would have made it, would be, well, if he can do this to Harvard, he can do this to any school that is in noncompliance. Well, okay. If the things that the administration is demanding are substantively reasonable, as Bill Ackman just sort of outlined, then why couldn't the government, since it is a subsidizer of the student body and a benefactor of the academicians and administrators, why can't they step in and attach strings to that money?
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us on that very same line.
I mean, the idea that the foreign students are not going to go to any universities in America because they can't go to Harvard is ridiculous.
Right.
First of all,
there's not too many. Tech, please.
There's not too many spaces at Harvard to begin with, as the point that Ackman made. The undergraduate population has grown very little over 40 years compared to administrative costs, a point he made earlier in his talk. And there are all sorts of universities that attract students from all over the globe. I just, this idea that everything rises or falls with Harvard, I think is a difficult argument to make out. Scott Bessent, a Yale guy, had this to say about Harvard's tax-exempt status. He certainly wasn't walking back what Trump had indicated.
The president is moving forward with that, and we're also looking at taxes on endowments. And I think the important thing here, and it goes a little bit back to this Main Street versus the elites, that Harvard, to have a tax-exempt status, there are rules you have to follow. And if you're not following the rules, no one's above the law. So we will see if they're following the rules. It looks like there's a substantial number where perhaps they weren't. And, again, too, Harvard is a gigantic hedge fund. They run a leveraged investment model. So we'll see where all that goes.
Mm-hmm. A hedge fund with a university attached, as has often been said, and Harvard's not the only one, but it's the biggest player on the block. But I got to tell you, I mean, so long as Trump is coloring inside the lines of the Constitution, this is the only approach that gets the attention of these ivory tower academics. We've been talking for so many years, the donor leadership that's required to change the totalitarian culture on so many campuses in America. Well, that really hasn't happened because, everybody wants to back the football or basketball teams and so forth. And this is going right to where their bread is buttered. And frankly, they chose the system of being underwritten by the American taxpayer. Despite a lot of academics, including Ivy League academics we mentioned on this show, former Yale University presidents and others, said, this is a bad idea to get in bed with the government. Well, they did it, and they made everybody pay for it. And they have become completely imperious and intolerant, and as I said, totalitarian re-education camps. And so here comes the President of the United States, as Bill Ackman nicely explained, asking for these three reforms, if you will, to live up to something that resembles the mission of a university like Harvard. And they tell him to go pound sand. And so he's coming after them, and he's coming after the university system writ large and the way that it currently operates. And I think it's very difficult to argue that there is not a paradigm shift that is needed in higher education in this country. So all this hand-wringing over the possible destruction of Harvard, I couldn't be less concerned, frankly. Margot in Burr Ridge.
Yes, and not just for Harvard. They call them land-grant universities, such as University of Illinois, because they were established to educate the people of each state. Each state wanted to be more educated than the other because it's still the greatest populace in the history of the world, an educated populace. And they have gotten so far away from their mission. I'm so glad you brought mission, because that was their mission. And now, University of Illinois, they can't wait to get imported students, from all over the place so that the kids don't even, hardly go there. And that's the same with a lot of these land-grant universities. So it's not just Harvard, but yes, especially Harvard, because they're so arrogant.
Exactly. Thanks for the call, Margot. Appreciate that. No, it's a good point about U of I. I've made it on this show many times before. And if you're going to use Harvard as an example to send a message system-wide, and I think that's exactly what they're doing. And it needed to be done. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
2815 Old Jacksonville, Springfield. CordellCordell.com.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. TrustandWill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/radio.
Hi, Amy Jacobson here. With the crime we're seeing in Illinois, I know how important it is to keep my home and my family safe. That's why I chose Goldilocks for my home security. One of their awesome technicians just came over and gave me a free assessment of my home. They found vulnerabilities that intruders typically look for and created a personalized plan for me. Goldilocks offers state-of-the-art smart home security systems with HD cameras, motion detectors, smart locks, mobile notifications. As you know, crime in Illinois is out of control, and I'll sleep easier knowing that Goldilocks has my back. They even offer commercial security systems for any size business. Tell them Amy Jacobson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months of monitoring for free with any new install. Call Goldilocks today at 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com. That's GoldilocksInc.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
I'd like to know how much of Justin's 3 weeks of paternity leave was spent skateboarding and playing video games.
Yeah, I mean, what did you do?
As opposed to any like child care.
Because they sleep for like 23 of the 24 hours.
Yeah.
Just stare at the baby all day?
Yeah, what'd you really do?
Dirty diaper changing.
Really? Oh, gosh.
Oh, I love that of course, I knew you were changing the diapers because you're a real man. Real men change diapers, Dan.
I would never do that under any circumstances.
I don't think Trump ever changed a diaper either.
No, that's what you have nannies for or wives.
Oh, wow. There's a lot there that we can unpack.
Yeah, why Dan Proft's a single.
Exactly. All right, thanks so much to Justin Kosick. We are so glad you are back and can't wait to see the baby that you're going to bring in on Friday. Are you going to be in studio on Friday, Dan?
Maybe.
Okay, then maybe we will bring the baby because I want to get a picture of you holding her.
Oh, yeah, right.
Thanks also.
I'm not qualified.
Thanks also to Quinn McCarthy. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
President Trump could take more federal funding away from Harvard. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. He's sending letters to agencies within his administration,
asking them to review their federal contracts with Harvard, the value of which is about $100 million, determining which are non-critical and therefore could be canceled.
Fox's Molly Line in Cambridge, Massachusetts. There's also a hearing this morning.
Harvard's effort to preserve their ability to enroll international students here at the university. This comes after the Trump administration revoked that ability.
Now, a judge put that order to stop foreign student enrollment on hold, as Harvard also challenges an earlier Trump order that cuts off federal grant money over allegations Harvard allowed anti-Semitism to flourish on campus in pro-Palestinian protests. President Trump's also threatening to withhold federal funding from California over transgender sports controversy, posting on Truth Social this morning that he plans to talk to Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom today as the president calls on local authorities in the state to prevent a transitioned athlete he wrote was less than average as a male from competing in state finals next weekend in women's sports. The Supreme Court has just refused to take up a free speech case, a dispute over a Massachusetts school that banned a student from wearing a T-shirt with the message, "There are only two genders." Russia has taken over 4 border villages in Ukraine following a weekend bombardment of deadly drone and missile attacks that led President Trump to call Russia's leader crazy as he considers possible new U.S. sanctions.
This morning, the Russian government is trying to move past President Trump's criticism of Vladimir Putin. Instead, it's blaming Europe